Excuse me. Welcome everyone. The hour being 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. The Tooele City Council is meeting in a work meeting. This meeting is being held at Tooele City Hall in the council chambers located at 90 North Main Street. This is also being broadcast on the Tooele City YouTube channel. We will start with a roll call. Councilwoman Manzione.
Present.
Councilman Graff.
Present.
Councilman Hanson.
Present.
Councilman McCall.
Present.
I'm Councilman Brady. I'm also present. We will move to item 3, which is the mayor's report.
Thank you, Chairman and Council. There's just been a lot of exciting things happening in the last couple of weeks since we met, and I am sure that some of you will report on some of this. But I wanted to mention last Saturday, there was an event, an essay contest down at the library, and this was for young students in our school system, that they were to write about which their favorite part of the First Amendment was. So some spoke about freedom of speech, some about freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, and our ability to gather. And I just want you to know how thoroughly I was impressed that I was by these young people. Our future is in good hands. And I have invited them to come at a later council meeting and present their essays to us. They were, like I say, they were phenomenal, and I know that you would really enjoy them. So I've invited them at a future meeting. Also, just Monday of this week, we had a wonderful groundbreaking for our newest business that is coming to Tooele, a manufacturing plant, Lightner Poma. We were very happy to see our Lieutenant Governor here to attend that event. The governor's priority was to make sure that Lightner Poma settled in Utah, and we believe that they chose, of course, the best city in the state to land in, and that's our city. And they will be bringing over 100 well-paying jobs to our city, and they are really projecting this building to be completed by next May. They are moving. They're getting this building and over a $30 million investment, so we're just really grateful for them. The last item, and I don't know, Michelle, if we have a picture of rendering of our fire station. I didn't know if she sent it. Okay, so it's okay. On Saturday, the best thing that happened on Saturday, very first thing in the morning, was our groundbreaking ceremony for fire station number 3. This has been many, many years in the making, and it was just a very, very great event. And for those of you who weren't able to attend, we're going to get the video up on our website so you can go back and watch. And I would encourage you to especially listen to the speech that was given by our fire chief. It was very emotional, and we are just very, very grateful for those men and women that serve as volunteers on our fire department, and they have fantastic leadership, and we're very, very grateful for them. So we're looking forward to watching that fire station go up in the next year and a half, and we'll be looking forward to a ribbon cutting. The last item, this is really just for your amusement. So our former finance director, Glenn Caldwell, had a copy. It was a book, and it was the revised ordinances of Tooele City, and it was dated the 28th day of December, 1893. This is what it encompassed, the whole code. And so for fun, I'm going to read just one little section for you. Chief Day, you'll love this part. This is talking about our policemen. Every policeman appointed shall take an oath for a faithful performance of his duties as policeman, and shall see that the ordinance of the city are complied with. They shall provide themselves with badges of office, which shall be worn by them on all occasions when on duty, and when required by order of the city council, shall provide themselves with such uniforms as the city council shall design. He shall receive for his services $2 per day for each day's service.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing that. We will move on to item 4, which is our council members' report. We will start with Councilman McCall.
I attended the groundbreaking on Saturday. That was great. And that was about it. I missed the museum advisory board because I don't know when it is.
Okay.
My phone said it was yesterday, but it wasn't yesterday. I was there, nobody else was there. So I had to get with the new director and find out when those meetings are.
All right, thank you. Councilman Hanson?
I also attended, my mic's not on there. I also attended the groundbreaking Saturday. It was great. And it's exciting to see the fire station happening, so that was way cool. And then I also attended the Meet the Candidates night and got to be part of that, so that was fun, kinda. And and then today I got to hang out with Michelle and do interviews for Deputy Recorder, and that was great actually. So I enjoyed that. So but that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Graff?
It's been a little bit busy, and I had the pleasure of working with Chase Randall and conducting library board interviews, and I'm really excited for our 7 o'clock meeting. We'll get to hear these 3 individuals who will be joining our library board. I had an Arts Council meeting today, which was always good to participate in. I was able to attend the groundbreaking at the fire station, and how unique that it was also on the day of the eclipse. It's quite memorable. And also attended the groundbreaking for Lightner Poma. And it was exciting to sit and listen and what they're going to be developing, and it's just exciting to know that that's here in Tooele. That's really, really great. And finally, I had a chance to attend the Meet the Candidates night, and that was a lot of fun. I think I have a new appreciation for my fellow candidates and us 3 as well. Just it's always good to hear what motivates people, and to my fellow candidates who are up here, it's a good reminder of like what drives you, and it's a reminder of what should be driving me. So I found that to be a positive experience. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Manzio?
Yeah, thanks. Jared and I were able to go with emotional support from the mayor to the WFRC Active Transportation meeting, and we presented about Tooele's Active Transportation Plan, and it was a really good experience. And it's always nice to hear comments from other cities that say, "Oh, we could try that in our city." It's kind of fun to hear that about your city, so that was good. I was very sad to miss the fire station groundbreaking, but I am so excited about the fire station and looking forward to it being built. And I also attended the groundbreaking of Lightner Poma, and I was happy to be in the audience at Meet the Candidate night, but all the candidates did a great job, and I'm glad we had that opportunity. I hope people take the opportunity to listen and to, educate themselves and be educated voters. And then we have some really exciting things that are up and coming in the Arts Council that in the next couple of months we'll share, but some really exciting things happening, so something to look forward to.
Thank you. I also attended the fire station groundbreaking. That was an excellent event. And Meet the Candidate night. Thank you to the staff who put that on. It's one way we try to inform the voters of the choices that they have. So we'll move on to our discussion items. Our first one is a presentation by J. Fisher Company's presentation on missing middle housing opportunities, presented by Roger Baker, the city attorney, and J. Fisher Companies.
Thank you, Council. I really appreciate your willingness to begin a series of discussions on a topic that has a number of names. Some people call it affordable housing. Some people call it the missing middle housing, and have a whole book on this subject. The mayor has one as well, and I think Councilwoman Manzion has one as well.
Why?
We were able to hear the author speak, and it was quite inspiring and also motivating to hear what communities need and lack. And so that's what we're here to discuss. As you know, you have 20 acres of undeveloped vacant land on Rogers Street. And while we're not committing to a course of action for that land, I appreciate your willingness to explore ideas. You may know that in addition to being your city attorney for a very long time, I've been a member of the American Planning Association since 2006. And in 2007, I was certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. And I say that only because in that capacity, I've been to hundreds of presentations on good city planning, including the missing middle housing and affordable housing and many, many other topics, sign law, land use exactions, and all of those things. One of the best presentations I have attended was just last month, when representatives from J. Fisher Companies and their associates discussed a beautiful project called Franklin in the Boise area. It's called, they'll explain to you what Franklin is. But I would like to introduce to you two people from the J. Fisher Companies, Wendy Leonelli and, don't tell me. I called them the wrong name, so now, of course, they've both left my mind. Come on up and introduce yourself. Very happy to have them here, and we'll turn some time over to them. Interact with them as however you'd like, and we'll have time for questions at the end.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm sure you're all on the edge of your seat to find out my name. It's Jake Wood. I'm a partner at J. Fisher Companies. I oversee a large segment of our development strategy, which is all of the different types of housing that Roger just referenced. We do everything from full market rate all the way down to deeply affordable and everything in between. The types of housing we provide range from single family to high density urban infill up to, over 100 units to the acre. So we're pretty diverse in what we do. I feel like I have a little bit of shoes to fill when Roger pays that lovely compliment about the presentation that we gave at the Utah League of Cities and Towns. So hopefully this one will measure up and be somewhat insightful for you as well. I'm not sure how we plan to go through this. I'm just going to have to give you that. Okay. And again, I would like for this to be an opportunity to present our company and what we do, the way that we think about partnerships with cities and other institutional groups. I'd also like to make it clear that I'm available for any questions you might have about what options might be available for Tooele City. So with that being said, I think we can jump right in if that's all right. So our company, we're based in Centerville. That's where our home office is. We operate up and down the Wasatch Front. We have projects all the way as far south as St. George. The bulk of our work happens right here on the I-15 and I-80 nexus. We're also pretty heavily involved in southern Idaho as well. But our company was founded in 2005. I'm not sure what the sequence of these are, and I'm not sure how visible this is for everyone. But our company was founded in 2005 by two gentlemen, Chad Bessinger and Owen Fisher, the namesake of the company, J. Fisher. And we have grown from a small land entitlement group up to a at this point, over $1 billion in projects completed, and we have about 120 employees now. So a fairly decently sized regional company is how we like to describe ourselves. We do focus heavily on public-private partnerships, especially when we talk about the types of housing that Roger just mentioned, affordable housing with a capital A, or housing that is affordable. And we do make that distinction, right? Sometimes we're using federally subsidized financing. We're heavily involved in programs at the state and federal level using Section 42, LIHTC, really capital A affordable. We also have a lot of creative strategies to provide housing for people up and down the spectrum. So one of the things that we want to talk about a little bit tonight is our process of creating custom solutions for municipalities, cities, towns, and the really specifically targeted residents. What we've seen recently, a lot of cities are responding to mandates passed down from the state and trying to find solutions that conform with the requirements of the state legislature. And a lot of times that's not a one-size-fits-all solution, right? You might not need deeply, heavily subsidized capital A affordable housing with high levels of service. You might need housing that's affordable for middle income populations of the workforce. And those are the things that we like to really dial in, dig deep early on, do a lot of research, have a very collaborative approach. So collaboration is sort of the key takeaway in our process. We are also a vertically integrated company. We have an in-house general contractor that builds all of our projects. It provides a lot of flexibility for us. It allows us to really manage the finance, the capital, really keep an eye on costs, make sure that we're being good, responsible fiduciary partners when we work with cities, when we work with institutional partners. It gives us a lot of control. We also have integrated property management. Our company is a build and hold company. We don't sell our projects after they're completed. So our property manager ensures that they're always managed and kept at the highest standards. It also encourages us to build to high quality standards because we know that we're going to be in the project, in the community for 15 to 20 years. That's our business strategy. So we don't build, merchant build, take the fee and sell and move on. So we're in long-term ownership positions on everything that we do. And this is just a little bit of information. I'm sure this comes as no surprise. The Intermountain West is one of the fastest growing by population and in-migration areas anywhere in the country. So we have seen these acute problems in cities all up and down the Intermountain West. And what we found is that no one's really immune. And I'm sure Tooele has seen its own share of blessings and also burdens that come along with these types of population increases. So we can go to the next one here too. So this is just a little bit about our history. We have about 4,000 multifamily units that we've completed, and that's regional here in the Wasatch Front. We have, as I already mentioned, about $1 billion plus in multifamily projects, probably about $2 billion total in investment and development over the broad base of our whole entire company. And within that, about 1,400 of those units are in some category of what we might call affordable, missing middle, workforce, attainable housing. So pretty well versed and well experienced in that as well.
Sorry, were you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. We're just going to move right through these because I know this is, I want to get to the Q&A portion. I mentioned this before, public-private partnership. Probably about half of the projects we do are some form of public-private partnership. We've found that it's a great way to create alignment. It's a great way for the city to get a seat at the table alongside the developer rather than trying to have an adversarial or transactional or conflict relationship. For us, we've found that it really, the alignment comes in on day one, and knowing that there's an invested partner on both sides, it provides the developer with a lot of assurance and a lot of optimism about the long-term success of the project, knowing that the city is also invested and that alignment is created early on. So one of the reasons we were excited to come tonight was when Roger started talking to us about the goals of the city and the approach, he started with the fact that the city has surplus land, the city has certain goals that may be somewhat undefined around long-term housing solutions. To us, that's an ideal situation. Land is the hardest thing for us to navigate right now because when we go to buy land on the market, I'm sure you've seen what's happened. We're competing against developers who are looking to maximize profit. They're willing to pay sometimes almost anything for the land because they know that they'll be able to make it up on the back end by increasing the rents to the highest possible level that the market will support. For us, it's hard to compete with that. So when we know that a city is willing to make a contribution or an investment by way of land, whether that be land that's deeded, land that's put into a land trust, land that's put into a long-term ground lease. These are all strategies that we've done, and they all work extremely well. So that was exciting for us to hear, and we like that as a starting point for the conversation. Again, we have a lot of slides in here about our financial experience, but we could probably skip over a few of those. Again, the collaborative approach, I don't need to spend a ton of time on that, but I think that that's an important distinction of our company versus some others that might be in the market, is we really do like to come in and create alignment early and have a collaborative process throughout. We've done this with Salt Lake City, we've done it with Ogden, we've done it with we just broke ground on the first public-private partnership in Park City, which was quite a hill to climb. So we've done it with Boise City. We have a strong track record, and for us, I think, you know, if this were a conversation that were to develop, we can definitely bring a lot of recommendations to the table because we have happy partners who we do repeat projects with. So we've done 3 with Ogden. We're on our 3rd with Boise. We hope to do another in Park City. So for us, this is a relationship building exercise. And again, I mentioned this previously. We're long-term developers. We're not merchant developers who build and sell and move on to the next thing. We've never sold any of our affordable projects. We have a couple of market rate projects that we did sell in the last cycle because it was an opportunity for us to recapitalize and reinvest. The benefit there was it allowed us to take less outside investment. So now we have more control over how we structure and how we collaborate and how we partner. So that was a good thing for us. But when it comes to public-private partnerships and affordable missing middle workforce housing, those are all long-term. When we do have a couple slides in here about sort of our general company philosophies. We're very keen on placemaking. We want our projects to exist in an environment that has broad-based benefit. One of the things that Wendy and I got really excited about when driving the area where the site that Roger referenced earlier is the opportunity for long-term growth, placemaking, and general neighborhood building opportunity. It's a great nexus between transportation, employment, and housing that already exists within the path of development with the opportunity to really build something long-term. Again, these are just a couple more slides on our philosophy. I added these in, and we kept these in because I think we're planning to share this afterward. Is that correct? And then we wanted everyone to be able to reference this back if you care to go look again later. So again, we can move on here too. Community building, we do a lot of we focus a lot on the end user, the tenant experience, the resident experience, the community experience. So that's something that we bring to the table. We have a note in here about social determinants of health. I'm sure that's a buzzword that people have been hearing more and more. One of our best partners is Intermountain Healthcare. They made a commitment probably about 5 years ago to increase access to what they define as the social determinants of health. And that's a lot of things. That's access to fresh fruits and produce, that's healthy transportation options, but really the base of the whole thing is housing, and it's housing that's high quality, it's safe, it's predictable, and it's affordable. And so for us, that dovetailed perfectly with our mission as well. And so those are the types of partnerships and the type of philosophy that we bring to the project. And we have a few case studies in here that I wanted to point out. Roger referenced the one that we presented at the League of Cities and Towns that was in Boise, Idaho. This one is in Midvale. So if you drive south on I-15, right around the 215 junction, and you look to the east, you can see this project. This was on the east side of I-15. This was an area that Midvale City designated as an area of concentrated redevelopment. It's a TOD overlay at the Midvale Fort Union track station, but it was on the east side of I-15. If you're familiar with this area, all the momentum was on the west side. That's where the Overstock.com headquarters, the new Topgolf, hundreds of millions of dollars of development, but it hadn't jumped the freeway yet. So we worked with the city.
Jake?
Yes, sir.
Would you tell them what a TOD is and how that fits here?
Yes, so it's just a transit-oriented development. That's one of the strategies that we use in determining where we're going to put some of these urban redevelopment sites. And for us, that helps with that mission of providing multimodal transportation options. This one in particular was at that track station. So we knew that the opportunity for development was high. The city wanted to spur that redevelopment with a catalytic project. So the partnership here came in the form of beneficial zoning. So there's many ways that it can take shape. Sometimes it's land, sometimes it's help with capital investments, and in this one it was the beneficial zoning. So we worked with them to program this project in a way that allowed us to bring that affordability without harming the quality, without harming the unit mix, everything that was important about the project. So this was the first one that came in this area. And if you'll go ahead, I have some statistics about the project in here as well. So $45 million investment that we made. The city didn't put any money in, which was, they were happy about that. This has now spurred confidence of other developers. We've raised the property values of all of our neighbors, which they were also happy about. And this is an example of us coming in early and creating a little momentum and locking in this type of housing. So this is housing for households that make $60,000 a year or below. So that's typically the workforce in this area. We did a survey of the employers that employ all of the residents in this project, and it's everyone you can think of. It's the school districts, it's the hospital system, it's folks who commute up into downtown Salt Lake, and everything in between. So this one really sort of fits that workforce profile that we might define. 60,000 and below, and the rents are fixed to, they're calibrated to match that. So a 2-bedroom apartment here is about $1,200 a month, where the market is about $2,000 a month. So it's quite a delta. And one of the things that we like to measure when we look at that delta between our rents and the market rate rents is what's the economic development impact of that additional savings and what happens to that money. And that might be a round two conversation, but it's pretty compelling, and we do have a lot of data about that is money that is spent pretty much immediately. It doesn't go to savings, it goes to discretionary spending, and we've measured the impact of that on local economy. And I think, Wendy, we have something we can share later that gives a little bit of a broad outline of that. Again, this is just some information on this case study project. We can go through this fairly quickly. This is sort of the TOD map that shows a little bit, to Roger's point, some of the strategy around transit and how we think about that. So we can skip here. This is just a little bit about some of the things that we think about when we're designing and when we're bringing new projects. We do lean heavily into sustainability because we're long-term owners. We want these projects to be forward-looking. We're designing for a 15-year period. We want to make sure that we use high-quality materials. We have the latest technology when it comes to energy efficiency. We're meeting and exceeding all of the Energy Star codes, and that's standard on every project. We also make sure that we customize all of the amenities for the residents that will be living locally in the project. And so those are just a few examples of things that we think about. And that's pretty much it as far as the presentation goes. I think more than anything, we wanted to make the connection, introduce ourselves as a company, answer any questions that you might have, and then, think about long-term steps. So that's all I have for now.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
I have a few.
Sure.
First, thank you for the presentation. It's a question we are always dealing with, which is how do we get affordable, and I would say obtainable, because affordable is this moving target depending on who your target audience is. And so my question for you is first of all, thank you. It was very helpful. How do you I have so many questions. I'm trying to think which one I want to start with. One of the questions is, and I really appreciate that you put a dollar figure on your target market or the consumer, which 60,000 really is dealing with these dual income families who are just trying to make ends meet. And in apartments here in Tooele, a 3-bedroom apartment is $2,100, which really prices out a lot of people. And that's difficult because people want to live by where they work. Otherwise, they incur gas and additional costs of time. So my question is, when you're building these projects, how are you able to upkeep the property? Because I lived in Virginia and Washington, D.C., and there were projects like these that turned into projects that were affordable and attainable, but then turned into a blight, and it was difficult because it's something that's needed, but at the same time, we want to keep up, and I'm sure you do too. So how have you addressed that in your projects?
Thank you for that question, because I love to answer that question, and I answer it honestly, and the answer is because we're greedy developers. We want to make sure that our investment is protected. And I think this is one of the beauties of the public-private partnership. You get to bring in market-based motivations, but you also get to bring in socially beneficial, more mission-driven motivations and line those two things up. So our company, we are a for-profit company, right? We do have a mission-driven component, and that is to improve the communities that we live in and work in. And we do believe that housing is a very crucial component of that. But at the core of it, this is also an enterprise for us. So we're highly motivated to make sure that these properties operate efficiently, that the residents are happy, that our ownership group is happy, that they're performing well, and that they're projects that we can be proud of. And so that's all very important to us. To get down to a little bit of the numbers on it, I ran a little high-level analysis on Tooele, and I did use that mark at 60,000 as sort of a measuring stick for what this project might look like. And so I'm glad you brought up the cost of a 3-bedroom apartment, because in my model I put it at about $1,300 a month, so that's quite a savings. So we do think that we'll be able to attract high-quality tenants at that price point. And within that, our financial structure allows us to put equity and debt in place that balances so that there is a surplus created, even at $1,300 a month. We put $300 per unit per year into a capital expenditure improvement account. And so, if you look at the capital expenditure improvement arc of a project, it starts in years 1 through 5. There's basically any. Years 5 through 10, it starts to go up, 10 to 15. And then you have a lot of capital improvements around that 15-year mark. In these affordable projects, that's usually around the time you would recapitalize and maybe start to do some heavy-duty renovations. So the math on that 300 units, let's just say for sake of argument, we have a 100-unit project, we're putting $30,000 a year. It doesn't sound like much, but then when you add that up over time, we find that is kind of the sweet spot for being able to never have neglect, never have deferred maintenance, never have deferred capital improvement projects. So that's kind of the short, long answer of how we do that.
All right, 2 more questions.
Yeah.
I get all nerded out on this. So the other question is, when you're managing these projects, but you're also looking at the interest rates that we're looking at, which are just astronomical. Mm-hmm. And how do you navigate that in this type of market, which we're in a strange market? We don't know how long this is going to last, and it's affected people who are borrowing money on the commercial side, because this is a lot higher and it cuts right into your profitability. So how, and obviously you have your own trade secrets, but I'm just curious on a very high level, how do you navigate a high interest market in your arena?
It's the number one topic of discussion for us right now. When we look at the interest rate today versus a year ago, we've doubled or almost tripled what the net long-term interest rates are for these projects, and it has a huge impact because we're borrowing tens of millions of dollars at a time. So not only does that affect the cash flow as related to debt service, it also affects your borrowing power at the front end, right? Because it's all debt service constrained, and those interest rates make those proceeds go way down. So for us, what we've done, we have a few strategies there. Number one, I don't just put the numbers of $1 billion, $2 billion up there because I think it's impressive. It also shows the status that we have in that marketplace. So we do have the best partners and we do have access to the best products. So we have proprietary relationships with groups like Goldman Sachs, who does direct lending to us. Morgan Stanley is a great partner of ours. Citibank Community Capital, we have probably done 200 million of that just with that group, and they do have the best products in the market. So first we start there with access to the best products. Then we have what we call our toolkit, and that is where we layer in things that help us close gaps. I referenced our relationship with Intermountain Healthcare. We just started a project in Ogden, and they brought in $5 million of construction term financing and another $2 million of long-term financing to help us close those gaps that were opened up by those interest rates. So those types of things are custom for every project. We put the project together in a way that is as good as we can get it, and then we work backwards to solve those problems by bringing in different tools from our toolkit to help close those gaps.
All right, and final question. I'm going to split it into 2. One of the biggest issues that we have from developers is they're talking about it's too expensive to meet what the city has for the lack of a better term, our PURDI codes of how we want our buildings to look like, how we want our residential to look like. How do you address that while remaining profitable, while coming up with a product that is pleasing to the eye? And then the second question, I'd be curious on how long are you keeping tenants? Are you having a lot of turnover? I'm just curious about that too, because that's telling about the project on how successful it is for the consumer side if they want to be there, if they want to stay.
Sure, I'll answer that second one first. So every Monday, we get a weekly report from all of our on-site property managers at every property that's in our portfolio. And every week, the report comes out 100% occupied, 100% leased, and then they tell us the waiting list. So every one of our projects has a waiting list. Tenants do tend to be pretty sticky in these. Number one is price point. There's just not enough of this type of housing out there. But number two, to flatter my company a little bit, I do think that we do a very good job of providing housing that really does have that end user in mind, that makes them very comfortable to be in their location, their apartment itself, and then also the amenities and the community. So we put in things like on-site daycare. We put in things like co-working spaces. We're constantly refining the offerings to make it a place where people really can stay long-term. We offer 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units so people can have options when it comes to household size. So we do things that really help create an ecosystem that is beneficial to us, because we know that we have tenants who are dedicated, they're loyal, and we know they're going to be there long term, and they're going to care about the community. That's important to us as well. We want people who have a sense of pride and a sense of ownership in the place where they live, because they're going to treat the property with respect, and so that's important to us. And then to kind of answer the questions in reverse order, one of the ways we do that is we also want to build to a high quality. We want to build to a high standard. We do make decisions that allow us to use the highest quality materials, but sometimes we have to do that in a thoughtful way, and that might be thinking about things like the mass of the building rather than just the materials themselves. So we like to work with architects who are thoughtful about how they design a building and how they can make it efficient to build. And then I referenced our vertical integration earlier. So having an in-house general contractor allows us to bring them into the very first meeting that we have with an architect and start to validate design ideas from the very beginning. And we make decisions and iterate all the way through the process so that what we get at the end doesn't have to go through a massive value engineering process. We don't have to come in at the end and strip all the cool parts off. We've thought about that all the way through. So it's a bit of a process.
Thank you.
Sure.
So just following up with the tenants, how do you select who the tenant is? Do they have to meet a certain criteria, or is it just a free-for-all, everyone applies?
Well, we follow fair housing guidelines that are set by the federal government, so we do make it open and available to everyone without discriminating against any protected classes. And then once that has been established, we do go through and we will sort and select by, you have to meet the income criteria on a maximum threshold. You also have to meet it on a minimum threshold as well. We do check credit, we do check criminal histories, and they're not automatically disqualified on any of those, but we do go through a process of selection that allows us to make decisions based on those criteria. So we do want to keep it as open as possible so that everyone can have access, but it's a pretty robust qualification process as well. So we start with our on-site management team, then that goes into the next level, which is our senior level management. Then we have 2 third-party gates that they have to pass through. One's a legal review and the other is a third-party income qualification review. So it can take 6 weeks sometimes to qualify a resident, but once they're in, we feel that we've really done a good job of making sure that they're a good fit for the project and that we're a good fit for them.
Thank you. And then, let's see the next question. When you build these projects, do you ever see a decrease in the market around that specific area? Because you're basically bringing in this housing that's significantly less. Does it ever drive down the cost of anything else, or it's not big enough to do that?
Well, there's a lot of schools of thought on that, and this is a topic that's been debated in both directions a lot, and we've been a part of both of those sides of that debate. I would say for us personally, we see an increase. The example that I showed in Midvale, we came in and we made a $45 million investment in an area that was fairly depressed at the time. And our project was by far the nicest thing in the neighborhood when we finished construction. So that raised the expectation of that neighborhood and increased the property values. We've had other examples. We had one in West Mill Creek around 39th South at the Meadowbrook track station. We pioneered a little bit in that neighborhood because we knew that the access to that track station was important. The city had a small area plan that called for increased density and housing there. So we were able to make a little bit of a long-term bet. And we actually built 2 projects there, combined about $100 million investment. And what we saw was now we wouldn't be able to build those today because we wouldn't be able to afford the land prices. So the land prices increased. I do think that it goes back to Councilman Graff's comments about how do we maintain these? Do we make these assets for the community, or do we let them deteriorate and drag it down? And I do think there are examples where this type of housing could have a negative effect. I think if it's managed correctly and everyone creates alignment at the beginning, I don't think that that's the impact. I think it's actually the opposite. And we do have some interesting things that we'll share with the group later about the economic impacts of this type of housing in the communities where it's built. And I think that it's pretty resoundingly positive in the research that we've studied.
So do competitors ever drop their rent though because your rent's lower?
We hope so, ultimately. I mean,
And that would be my goal too.
Yeah, we hope that this does have a cooling effect on housing in general because we understand supply and demand economics, and when the supply increases, hopefully that brings demand in line and pricing follows. I will say that we have a long road ahead of us here in Utah with that. The latest studies I've seen show anywhere between 40 and 60,000 units needed before that tipping point is hit. So we have a long road. But I think that every little bit helps, and I do think this helps move it in the right direction. I don't think it harms that, but I also don't think that it's the magic bullet. There's a lot of solutions, like Roger mentioned. We have to kind of hit this thing at every level. And at our company, we describe ourselves as housing bulls. So we want to build housing at every level. We think increasing supply at every level is beneficial to the market. So that's why we do single-family homes, townhomes for sale, townhomes for rent, market rate apartments, high-end market rate apartments, and the spectrum of affordability.
So you do have items or units that you sell, like townhouses?
Yes, we do.
Because that was my next question. When we talk about affordability, I think for most people, the long-term goal is to get their own home, right, that they own. So I'm happy to hear that you do have projects where you sell them and you don't just keep everything, so.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for the presentation, but excuse me. One of the things that I liked about what you were proposing is that you do the in-house management. I've lived in some of the places that he mentioned about the apartments and how they go up, and then you don't want to live there anymore because they let them run down. And I'm aware that management dictates whether or not that stays great or stays bad. And if you keep them and not selling them, it tells me that you're going to more likely try to manage them decently, which I'm impressed with. But the biggest question I had, you mentioned at the beginning about land. And I'm just curious to know, what all would the city's investment be? Would it just be the land, or would it be water and whatever else?
Well, that's tough to answer here tonight. Well, we do.
But I didn't make any commitments for the city. I just said we're exploring some ideas.
My previous slide about collaboration, I think, is an important one here in this answer, because for us, the most important thing is setting a common goal and figuring out how we get there together. Land is a good start. Infrastructure is important. That can be a burden sometimes if it's not in place or correct, or there's no avenues to get there. Sometimes that can really create a burden on what we're trying to do, and we have to make compromises or sacrifices in other ways. I think the short answer is we want to partner with cities, institutional partners who share our goal and are willing to do the things that it takes to get to the best possible outcome without making compromises that are too burdensome, right? So we do expect there to be compromises from our side. We do expect there to be compromises from our partners, but only when they're reasonable. So yes, if the site needs improvements in infrastructure, if the site needs improvement in utilities, we would want to be able to have that conversation.
Yeah, that was probably my number one question, because you had mentioned land and you had also mentioned zoning, both of which are obtainable, but I just wanted to know, like, exactly how much would we need to invest in this as a city? That's my concern, because we wouldn't be spending our money. Unlike you guys would be. We would be spending the taxpayers' money, and we want to make sure we spend their money the right way.
Yep.
Councilman McCall, that would be the mix of contributions from all the partners would be something that we would discuss over a long period of time.
Right.
Or an intense short period of time. But it would be whatever you felt was appropriate as a council.
Right.
So
I just wanted to know.
Sure. And one of our goals really is to present an outcome that in every scenario, the benefit outweighs the contribution, right? And so we do keep the public in mind. We do keep the taxpayer in mind, because we know that ultimately you are making decisions on their behalf, but we're also serving them with this type of housing as well. And I do think there are some conversations around the benefits that we don't really get into a lot of times early on that we're always happy to have.
Yeah, $1,200 a month.
Is 20 acres bigger than most projects you've done with other communities, the same size, smaller?
We have, it's a wide range. We've done it as small as half an acre in a very tight urban infill environment, and we've done, double-digit acreages as well. In looking at this one, I think that 20 acres probably becomes a multi-phase project. I think that it does allow the opportunity to provide a lot of different housing types, right? You can probably put low density, medium, and you can probably get a lot of units there. It might not all happen at once, but that might be a good thing, right? We might be able to create a little momentum and then draft off that in a phase two. I also think that in that location, we're not going to do structured parking. We're not going to do 75 feet. We're not going to do things that you might do in an urban environment. So you might only net out 15 units to the acre, 20 units to the acre when you're really, pushing that density in there. So I think that the 20 acres is a great size. I do also think that there's some things about the site that'll need to be studied. We'll need to understand circulation. We'll need to understand some of the commitments that already exist there with the trailhead, the cell phone tower, contextual things that we just don't know yet. But I think that, it's a good size for a project that could have a positive impact.
Do you do like neighborhood commercial, like business on the bottom, residential on top, or is this area, I don't know. I think that would be questionable if it would be the best spot for it, but is that something you've done in
We
other
do,
areas?
yeah. And in fact, in our urban infill projects, it's becoming almost automatic. We're doing that. I would say, yeah, probably 4 out of 5 projects has some component of neighborhood commercial in there. For a site like this, it might be something that's really user specific. It might be an on-site daycare. It might be something that really just serves the nucleus that's very proximate to that particular retail offering. It might not be a Starbucks drive-through, but it might be something that's really beneficial to the immediate residents there. So it's something that we will always study, we always think about it, we always consider it. We've done a cursory review of the zoning codes and what we think might be possible. We would obviously need to do a much deeper dive and also have conversations about what the city thinks is appropriate. Because it does look immediately on the face like maybe that wouldn't be a great place to do anything, but we just don't know yet. There might be something that really hits the sweet spot that does create that ecosystem, that benefit to the residents.
And council, you, not too long ago, enacted a new tool that we have yet to use, and that is the residential special district, where we come together in a collaboration and decide on a mix of housing types and income levels and uses that create a unique project that wouldn't fit in any other particular zoning district, but can present a wonderful mix of zoning concepts in a single area. And we have that tool ready to use.
That was my question, is you talked a lot about market rate rent and fixed rent. Do you ever mix the two in one project, or you've always kept them separate?
We do, and in fact, it's becoming more common and more popular in the industry to do that mixing, and a lot of that comes down to economics, but a lot of it also comes down to resident experience. So there's a trend in the industry to mix. What we've found is the economics sort of hits a crest point once you have too much of one or the other, particularly if you're trying to use some of the more available tools like low-income housing tax credits or gap closing offerings that the state might have. They have special funds, state tax credits, things to help developers. Once you put too many market rate units in there, you sort of close the door on those. Federal programs require 50% to be affordable. We think a nice sweet spot's around 80% with 20% market rate. We think that creates that nice balance within the residents. It also creates some benefits to the economics. So most of the projects we're doing now do have a mix, but they are primarily in some way restricted on rent and income in some capacity, with maybe 10%, 20% being unrestricted, fully market available.
All right, any other questions? We appreciate you taking the time.
Well,
Very interesting.
I appreciate all of you giving us the opportunity to come by. So, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Council, if I could just
Yes.
make a closing comment. Zoning is about 100 years old, a little more, and it was designed to isolate certain types of uses in single areas and separate uses. And it worked for many purposes. It was unhealthy for others. But planners are realizing today, and we have great planning staff here in the city. Andrew and Jared are tremendous. But planners have known for a long time that when you mix demographics, age demographics, income demographics, when you mix housing types, then you create a stronger and more cohesive neighborhood and community. And one of the things I liked about this group is the project they built in Boise did include a mix of income, a mix of housing types, a mix of market and subsidized housing types with a retail component, with recreational amenities. And when you can collaborate from point zero, from the very beginning, then you can create a wonderful project. And that's what I saw them do in Boise, and I appreciate your willingness to hear them tonight and their willingness to come. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
We'll move on to our next discussion item, which is a discussion on West Utah Avenue easement vacation presented by Paul Hansen, the city engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item would actually develop with your consideration into a vacation of the right-of-way as well. A little bit of history. Utah Avenue, as you all recall, was previously owned and managed by the Utah Department of Transportation as part of State Route 112. Back in the early 2000s, when Tooele City obtained the right-of-way and began the construction and funding of 1000 North, there was a land exchange done whereby we received the portion of Utah Avenue and they received the current SR 112 alignment. This topic has come about because we have a land developer that's looking at developing on the southwest corner of 1100 West and Utah Avenue. It's the area shown on the graphic that you have on the screen. And as we got looking with the developer, it immediately became clear that we don't need a 120-foot right-of-way along Utah Avenue fronting that development. As we move further east along Utah Avenue from about Coleman east, the right-of-way is only about 66 feet. As you go west of the railroad, our intent is to have it be 84 foot. So as we've talked with the administration and planning staff, it's our recommendation to you that we consider vacating the right-of-way between the railroad and 1100 West, 1100 West and the railroad to an 84-foot right-of-way, which would give them approximately 17 and a half feet. Now, that's not an exact number because it varies a little bit with the curvature and the line, but it's approximately 17 and a half feet of road that they could acquire. Also shown on this diagram, not shaded, is the potential future benefit to the property adjacent to White's Mobile Home Park. You can see two faint green lines. The right-of-way line actually is almost in the corner of some of those units. And if we were to in the future consider that reduction to a full 84 foot, it would pull that right-of-way further back away from those homes, which is a life, health, safety. We don't necessarily need cars in those units. That's not the topic of tonight's discussion. Tonight's discussion is purely that southern half with this application. It would be our recommendation to you, should you decide to move forward, that we would, however, retain that full land as public utility and drainage easement. There is FEMA flooding drainage mapping that goes within that area, and the city also has infrastructure that's within or adjacent to that property. So this is only a discussion tonight to see if the council is amenable to bringing this back as a formal action in a public meeting, or whether there would be objection or other concerns to moving forward.
Did you say that we would still maintain an easement for
Yes.
other infrastructure?
For our infrastructure and for other general utilities. So gas, power, telephone, cable, fiber could all potentially be located in that in the future as well.
Any other questions, comments?
I'm just concerned about the 84 feet in the railroad track with the traffic. You have traffic that stops and turns on their lights at the railroad. Is that gonna allow enough?
The Tooele City,
How many lanes, what does that give you?
the 84-foot right-of-way allows for 2 lanes of travel in each direction plus a center 12-foot median.
Okay.
59 foot of asphalt. So we believe that would still be sufficient at that location. We've talked with the railroad about their plans for that intersection, and they have no plans to upgrade it. But within an 84-foot right-of-way, it certainly could be upgraded. That's a great question.
Good. Okay, I'm okay with this. I support this, and I think it would be good for that area.
Okay, then our next step then will be to work with the developer. They'll be the ones providing the survey and helping to prepare the legal documents, and I'll work with the attorney's office to draft a resolution, and we'll bring it back to you at some point in the future. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Our next discussion item is a landmark site designation process for the preservation of significant historic properties, presented by Jared Stewart, the Economic Development Director.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for your time on this. There's some properties in the city that are unique and significant, and there's something we've learned through our process with the Utah Main Street program and historic preservation, that some communities have what's called a landmark ordinance that identifies and calls out specific properties as significant enough that there's special treatment, I guess, for those properties so that they don't get torn down or altered in a way that changes the the history and the significance of those properties. There aren't very many of these properties, right? And this process would identify a process that is not applicable broadly to very many structures in the city. And as we go through this, think about the Ritz, the post office, our museums. There's maybe a few others, but those are the main properties that probably this would be applicable for. So as we started thinking about this, we did reference other communities. We looked at St. George, Provo, Ogden City, and Salt Lake City a little bit as well, and they all have a landmark ordinance, and we took pieces from each of those that seemed to fit for us and scaled them to our community. And really I want to kind of go through a couple parts that are in this ordinance or this draft ordinance, and then I'll let you ask me questions and see if we're interested in moving this forward, or if you'd recommend any modifications. No need to make decisions tonight, but we could take this to the Planning Commission next and then come back here after that. So criteria for designations, section 2 on that. The first 3 items, A, B, and C, would be those are requirements that any property would have to meet. Have to be in the boundaries of Tooele City, be at least 50 years old, and have no major alterations or changes from the original construction or historic nature of the property. So those 3 always have to be met. The points D through H, one of those, in addition to the first 3, also has to be met. So, item D is that it has to be either listed on the National Register of Historic Places or surveyed by the State Historic Preservation Office and shown to be eligible for listing. That's a big one. And then there's also other items there that would call out the significance of a property and be and help us understand that it does have a value to the community. So, what could this process look like? The way we've drafted this would be that either a person could apply their property or recommend their property to be on this a landmark in the city, or the Historic Preservation Commission could also identify properties and go through a similar process. Those properties would be recommended. The Historic Preservation Commission would provide a recommendation to the Planning Commission after they receive applications, and then the Planning Commission could either designate or not. And we took some time to think about, okay, well, which body should be best for that? Should it be the city council who designates that, or should it be Planning Commission, right? We had thought maybe this was more administrative, so maybe it should be with Planning Commission, but I'm very open to input there if there's any thoughts or feelings in that regard as well. So, once a site is a landmark, what does that mean for it? It means that it couldn't be demolished unless there was a true fire or safety, risk or hazard there. There could be a determination made that it needs to be taken down. It would also mean that if there was any construction proposed to the level that a building permit's needed, or a permit, or there's a substantial investment or changes proposed, that they would have to present that to the Historic Preservation Commission and receive through a recommendation then to the Planning Commission, who would issue a certificate of appropriateness, right? And it's a little different from, at first we put in there a conditional use permit, right? But it's a little different because it's not a conditional use. It really is just a recommendation or a kind of I guess, notice that, yes, this is appropriate for the property, or no, it's not, change it in these ways, sort of thing. And that is a term that's used in other communities as well, that we were able to kind of pull from those other communities that I referenced. So I think that's really everything that that I'd like to say on this, and I'd like to see if you have questions or what your thoughts are on this. It's certainly a new process for Tooele City, something we haven't looked at before, but could be beneficial for some properties just to make sure that we retain them.
So most of the properties would be in this Main Street area, right? That I can think of a few other properties maybe around town, but it seems like the bulk of them would be in our Main Street downtown area. Is that a safe?
Yeah, I think that is a safe
Assumption.
yeah. And I mean, there's others like the, I know the historic Clegg home is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. They certainly wouldn't have to designate it a landmark, but, you know, that would be one that would qualify fairly easily. Probably some of the older apartment buildings, right? Central School, maybe. I'm just trying to think of other properties that are, you know, the same as they have been historically, right? Those are ones that are, you know, the Kirk, that's also really hasn't changed, right? And that is listed on the National Register as well. So those are a couple other examples, but.
So the use of the building can change anytime. Like they could go in and gut the whole place, but there's certain things they can't change about it, right? Is that?
Yeah, it primarily relates to the exterior,
Okay.
you know, of a building, the facade, doesn't apply to the interior uses as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
It's pretty straightforward.
Any strong opinions on if it should be administrative, planning commission, city council? Jared briefly mentioned that. I don't have any strong feelings about that.
I like the idea of planning commission because it's an open meeting to the public, and I think that designation would be great for the public to weigh in because it's a landmark within our city, and that input I think would be valuable. So at least the planning commission, I love giving them stuff because they do a great job.
As Jared and I discussed this, we said exactly the same thing. The city council will put together this ordinance that they have to follow those rules anyway. But giving that to them would be something that would be very appropriate.
I think so.
I agree.
And thank you, Roger, for helping us, you know, get to the right place there in this draft as well.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, Jared.
Okay, thank you, council.
Move on to our next discussion item, which is ordinance 2023-41, an ordinance of Tooele City amending Tooele City Code Section 10-3-30 regarding the removal of illegally parked cars, presented by Police Chief Adrian Day.
Thank you, council, and good evening. Our code already gives us the authority to remove illegally parked vehicles when they create a risk of damage to property or danger to persons, including obstructing normal and safe movement of vehicles, service vehicles, emergency vehicles, and pedestrians. There's many driving factors and many examples I could bring up, but in the interest of time, there's been many instances where I haven't been able to answer why we haven't towed a vehicle that's unsafe. It is left to the interpretation of the officer, leading to questions to me, to staff, to citizens, and even between us officers. The suggested wording in Code 10-330 in this ordinance makes it clear that all illegally parked vehicles are a danger on the roads and sidewalks. As a city, we already identify a danger with obstructions on roads and sidewalks in Building Code 41119, Section 3. It states, "All obstructions placed anywhere upon a public street or sidewalk contrary to this section are a threat to the public health and safety and may be removed, confiscated, and disposed of immediately by the city." Obstructions are defined a lot: broken glass, garbage, lumber. This does not mean we have the time, resources, or want to tow every vehicle that's illegally parked in the city. We want registered owners who are unable to move it or who refuse to move it to be responsible and get the tow off. I bring this to council for your input. If you're concerned with any wording or any suggestions or any questions in this work meeting.
So in the winter time, would we be, I know there's cars that get plowed and they sit there for weeks.
Correct.
We could tow them at this point then with this ordinance in place, or can we currently do that and we just don't do that?
Park on the street in the snow, so we can already tow them.
We can cite them, and towing, if it obstructs a city service vehicle, that's really up to interpretation. Is the tow going straight before it hits that car? Would they have moved over? I just want to eliminate that completely and say it is a safety issue on the road. We won't, in this new wording, it says reasonableness, time for the owner.
Right.
Right? Is that defined in there? No. What's reasonable? That will be up to the interpretation of the officer under my direction. Going to their door, knocking on the door, calling the phone numbers we have on record for them, leaving a warning. The last officer took a RV off the street in front of the house where the current owner, it hadn't been registered for a year, but he said he owned it. Gave him a 48-hour notice and he didn't do anything with it, and he hooked it up after that. Happens quite a bit.
I personally like the broadness of it, and the reason why is it's impossible to fully define every situation as you encounter it. Something that may not be an emergency or an obstruction today, but the next day it certainly is. And I'm thinking, for example, cars parked in a crosswalk by a school. On a Saturday, that may not be an issue, but on a Monday, that is. And I think that given your leadership and the officers that we have in our community, they will exercise that reasonableness, and so I'm comfortable with it.
I like your point, Councilman. I thought of a fire hydrant. It's not really emergency, there's not a fire, but after that fire starts, it's too late to move it.
Okay, any other discussion? This is on our business meeting tonight as well, so. Okay, thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, our last discussion item is Resolution 2023-91, a resolution of the Twila City Council amending the Twila City fee schedule to add a bulk culinary water fee for limited commercial construction, presented by Jamie Grandpré, the Public Works Director.
Good evening, Council. So with this resolution that we're kind of talking about, the work session deals with some commercial requests that we've had from contractors. For example, high school, the Temple, soon-to-be hotel, that have asked for culinary water instead of our bulk water reclamation water. Trucking costs sometimes for some of these larger projects can add quite a few $1,000s to a project. And so with the way, I know water is always a struggle with us some summers, and sometimes it might not always be good to give contractors the use of our culinary water. But we have kind of looked at that, and we think that some years are better than others. And in this policy, we do kind of talk about if our demand is kind of high during the summer, that we could call these meters back. But we want to give an option for the contractors that are doing commercial construction, the option of using our culinary water for that construction, for that purpose, that we have not allowed in the past. And so with this resolution, we're requesting the council to look at making this a policy. And we have kind of put some fees in there to kind of still not really kind of not discourage it, but just still kind of think, do I use water rec water? Do I use culinary water? So with that, it would be metered water on site with a nearby fire hydrant. We would charge a deposit for that meter because that it is an expensive meter to have out. It's a $1,500 deposit that we have in the resolution. Daily meter rental of $75, so each day that meter is out at $75 per day. Hopefully that way they don't kind of just keep the meter forever, and that kind of keeps it limited and keeps it so that hopefully they get it back to us in a timely fashion. And then the water usage cost is $1 more per thousand than bulk water, so it's $6 per thousand instead of the $5 per thousand for bulk water. So that's kind of what we set it up as. We do have kind of a policy that we're kind of putting together for that, and what it's kind of limited to, which commercial construction projects have access to it. We don't want to have our residential development contractors using it. I think if we give it too much open forum for our contractors, it will hurt our water system. So we're kind of doing it on a limited basis on those commercial construction contractors. So with that, kind of just a short, quick into it, and then I kind of open it up for questions if you have questions.
So we currently don't let any developer use?
No, we don't.
Okay. That was my one concern is we're always talking about water conservation and here we are letting developers use it. I understand why, but I guess my question, I was just a little hesitant to say, yeah, go for it. But if you have an administrative policy that can limit that, then I think I would be more in favor of doing this.
Yeah, we are looking at some of the things that we're looking at in that policy is if meter rental max of 180 days, if they want long-term use like that. We would also look at the possibility that it's only so many gallons per day usage. So, and I've kind of got it wrote up right now. It's 5,000 gallons of water per day. So that way it kind of limits how much gallons they use. We're also just looking at proposed commercial businesses that will create 10+ jobs. That kind of scenarios as we're kind of putting that policy together. But yeah.
Okay. This is on our business meeting as well. Is there anyone who has strong feelings against it? Are you comfortable with the fee structure they have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. I'm just curious, how much does it normally cost them to truck it in?
Well, I've had some of the contractors come back saying they could be upwards to 50 to 65,000, give or take, on a large project for trucking it in. I don't know what that relates to water costs and how much it would charge, how much just the water alone would be compared to the trucking costs. But depending on where that project's at, I mean, they're coming from our RDA reclamation facility, into town somewhere, and some of those projects can get quite expensive, trucking and the amount of water they have to bring in, especially during the summertime. And that's a little nervous thing, is because a lot of times it's the summertime where they use a lot more water than like the fall, winter time, where dust, is more of a concern.
It's not really easy to get to the reclamation facility either, because there's only the one way, right?
Yeah, you have to go down Erda Way and down 1200 1200 was brought over up to SR 112, make it a little easier, you know, a little bit quicker to get into town. But yeah, it is a jaunt to go out to our plant.
I don't have a major problem with it, but at the same time, I don't want to make it too easy for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if it's going to cost them $50,000 normally, like they're doing it now, if we make it too easy, then everybody's going to want to do that.
Yeah, and we've had the couple that have kind of looked at it, that's kind of requested it and kind of made us look at this policy, has kind of had to really weigh the options of trucking it from RDA into town and renting the meter. And so that's kind of the cost. When we kind of added the cost and putting the cost together, we kind of wanted to at least kind of balance that a little bit, just so.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, just so that, you know, we're not getting every commercial contractor that wants to do a commercial business coming in and trying to get a meter.
Cool.
And council, I'm sorry, Mary. Jamie's worked hard to try to not only limit the use of the water in terms of days and gallons, but also steer it toward businesses that are providing assets to the community in terms of jobs and things like that. So we're trying to make it a balanced policy for you.
It is so much easier for staff when there is a policy or a code written that they can follow, because there have been a couple instances that we have allowed this to happen. One was with the Deseret Peak High School. They needed a lot of water at one point when they were first beginning the construction to keep that dust down. And for the benefit of our residents, we felt that we needed to let them use that water. Putting this into the code will help us, again, define who uses it, how much they are allowed to use, and what the benefits are.
And set some fees for it as well.
Okay. All right. I think that's it, unless anyone has any last minute. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Jen.
We do not have a closed meeting tonight, so we will adjourn at 6:56, and then we'll reconvene for an RDA meeting.
Is it 7? Okay, the hour being 7 o'clock. This is a meeting of the Redevelopment Agency of Tooele City, meeting in a business meeting, October 18th, Tooele City Hall, also being broadcast on our Tooele City YouTube channel. We'll open this RDA meeting with a roll call. Board Member McCall?
Present.
Board Member Hanson?
President.
Board Member Brady?
Present.
Board Member Graff?
Present.
And I am Board Member Manzione. I'm also present. Agenda item number 3 is Resolution 2023-11, a resolution of the Redevelopment Agency of Tooele City, Utah, approving RDA participation in public water, sewer, and road utility improvements for new businesses at Peterson Industrial Depot. This is presented by Jared Stewart, the Economic Development Director.
Good evening, council. Thank you. This project and this resolution are all tied to our active industrial depot RDA project area, right? So we have funds that come in, and then we can reinvest in this project area to improve and hopefully use that to attract new business. And that's what we're trying to do here. Is we have Central States Manufacturing, who I think you're all aware of, has signed and is purchasing property from the Peterson Industrial Depot, which we're very excited about. They're purchasing 10 acres and are going to build, I believe it's a 130,000 square foot facility, and they hope to eventually, if it goes really well, build another 100,000 square foot second building after that. So as part of that, the Peterson Industrial Depot has agreed to extend a water and sewer line to their property, and there are some costs to that, right? So they are requesting that we participate in helping extend that water and sewer line to serve the new Central States Manufacturing facility. The second piece of this is that there is increased usage of Lodestone Avenue and some improvements that are needed there. One, because there's some frontage development that Peterson Industrial Depot has undergone themselves, right? And but additional to that is that Carvana and some of the other businesses that are in there now use Lodestone a lot, and there's a lot more traffic on there, and there's some improvements needed. And the second request in this resolution is to participate with some of those improvements. Neither of these requests is to pay fully for these improvements. It's partial amounts, and included in that resolution are, as exhibits, the cost estimates for these. And so you can see that really we're participating at less than half of the amount for each of these. Well, less than half for Lodestone, a little more than half for the water and sewer, I believe. So, and I think that's all I have to say. I think these are good improvements that are needed and will benefit Central States and the community as those jobs are created.
Thank you, Jared. Any questions?
So is it a percentage that we're participating, or just the maximum amount that we will contribute to the project? So if the project's $50,000 less, can they still use the maximum amount? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then if it's more, they just pay the cost?
Yeah, and it will be more than, the cost estimates are above what we are participating at. And also we have built in here that it would be upon invoice from PID, so it would be post-performance as well.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
I think it would be good if you mentioned, so that they would know about the amount of jobs that's going to be created out there, especially with Central States.
Yeah, Central States, I believe, is creating 90 or 100 jobs with this development.
There has also been a great increase with the new bus garage and the transportation facility that the school district has built out there, so it makes it a much safer intersection for those buses.
Well, especially with the light there now, like the intersection needed to be reworked because of the light. All right, I would entertain a motion then.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve Resolution 2023-11.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Board Member Brady and seconded by Board Member Graff to approve Resolution 2023-11. And we'll take that to a vote. Board Member McCall?
Aye.
Board Member Hanson?
Aye.
Board Member Brady?
Aye.
Board Member Graff?
Aye.
And I am Board Member Manzio, and I also vote aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you, Jared. Item number 4 on the agenda are the minutes of the RDA Business Meeting from October 4th, 2023. I didn't hear of any corrections to the minutes. Do you have any?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes that have been submitted.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Board Member Graff to approve the minutes from October 4th and seconded by Brady? Oh, Hanson. Board Member Hanson, thank you. We'll take that to a vote. Board Member McCall?
Aye.
Board Member Hanson?
Aye.
Board Member Brady?
Aye.
Board Member Graff?
Aye.
And I am Board Member Manzio, and I also vote aye. Thank you. That brings us to item number 5, which is to adjourn. Thanks.
All right, the hour being 7:06 PM on Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. We are meeting in a Municipal Building Authority of Tooele City in a business meeting. It's being held in Tooele City Hall Council Chambers, and it's being streamed on our city YouTube channel. Our first item is a roll call. Board Member Manzione,
Present.
Board Member Graff,
Present.
Board Member Hanson,
Present.
Board Member McCall,
Present.
and Board Member Brady. I'm also present. Our first item is Resolution 2023-02, a resolution of the Municipal Building Authority of Tooele City, Utah, approving construction contracts with Big D Construction Corp. for the construction of the new Tooele City Fire Station Number 3, presented by Fire Chief Matt McCoy.
Good evening, Council. We're pleased and excited to bring you this resolution tonight between Big D Construction and Tooele City for the construction of Fire Station 3. Mr. Baker's put quite a bit of history in the resolution, and I believe you're all very familiar with it as well. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions or comments? I'm excited for this project, so I think it'll benefit the north end of Tooele City significantly, so.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we approve Resolution 2023-02, a resolution of the Municipal Building Authority of Tooele City, Utah, approving construction contracts with Big D Construction Corporation for the construction of the new Tooele City Fire Station Number 3.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Board Member Hanson, a second from Board Member Manzione. We'll take it to a vote. Board Member McCall?
Aye.
Board Member Hanson?
Aye.
Board Member Graff?
Aye.
Boardwoman Manzione?
Aye.
I'm Board Member Brady, and I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Our next item is to adjourn. We're adjourned at 7:08. Okay. We will now begin our Tooele City Council business meeting. We welcome all of you. Once again, this is being streamed on our Tooele City YouTube channel. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please rise and repeat after me. Thank you. Our second item is a roll call. Councilwoman Manzione,
Present.
Councilman Graff,
Present.
Councilman Hanson,
Present.
Councilman McCall.
Present.
I'm Councilman Brady. I'm also present. Our third item is the Mayor's Golf Tournament Youth Recreation Grant Awards. This is presented by Mayor Debbie Nguyen.
Thank you, Council. I always get to do the fun parts of these meetings. I sometimes say it's the most important part. They may disagree. It's lots of important things, but I get to do things that talk about the people in our community. Each year, we hold an annual Mayor's Recreation. We call it Recreation Grants, but we call it the Mayor's Tournament. Golf tournament up at the Oak Hills Golf Course. We could not do this without the support of our community. It is the business owners that support this program and really allow us to raise the funds that we in turn give back to our community. We have many hundreds of volunteers who support the youth in our community and provide things for them to do. Sometimes it costs money, and sometimes these kids don't have the funding to be able to participate. But all of these volunteers create these organizations, and they give of their time, and I know that they give of their own financial their funds to give back to these kids. And so this is a way for us to take and raise money, give back to our community, and give everyone the opportunity to participate. And whenever anyone says there's nothing for kids to do in Tooele City, need to get out more, because there are tons of things to do, because they are provided this opportunity by these special businesses, which I will talk about these businesses after we give out the awards. Tonight is the night we get to give the money out. So I'm going to introduce each organization that has received a grant tonight. And when you hear the name of your organization, if you're here representing them, please come up and stand here while I tell a little bit about your organization, and then we will present you with your check, and then we'll take a picture, because we're going to make a big deal out of this everywhere we have social media and all that good stuff. Okay, so let's start with the Tooele County Crushers. Tooele County Crushers here tonight? Okay, I'm going to tell you about Tooele County Crushers. They are a basketball team that plans to use their grant funding to help subsidize the cost for players who can't afford to play, as well as travel expenses. The Tooele County Crushers provides athletes the opportunity to thrive playing youth sports at the highest competitive level possible for their age group. Again, this is a nonprofit organization that just gives back to the kids. So we've got basketball. The next is TC United Soccer. And I did think they already told us they could not be here tonight because they're out practicing their skills. Over 800 Tooele City youth. There's more than that outside of our city, but 800 Tooele City youth ages 3 to 18 who learn skills, teamwork, and play soccer with TC United. TC United plans to use their grant funding to help buy supplies, provide scholarships to low-income players who wouldn't otherwise be able to participate. They will also be purchasing equipment. The next is the Tooele County School District Education Foundation. So please, if we can have Mr. Keith Bird come up. I can hang on to you. Okay, this is Keith Bird, and he is, tell me your official,
Executive Director.
Executive Director of the Education Foundation. The Tooele Education Foundation serves thousands of students in our community. They plan to use their grant funding to take students to the recently completed Ropes Challenge course at the OCEC Outdoor Learning Center in Ophir Canyon to foster and promote youth outdoor recreation and learning and valuable life skills. Grant funds will be used to cover the costs of instructors, transportation to and from the site, snacks, and other essential class supplies. Youth from the Tooele Boys and Girls Club, which just went last Friday night, they were able to go up. They also serve youth with special needs and youth with less fortunate circumstances. They are their target students, and they are all invited to participate. So we're very honored to be able to give this check to the Tooele Education Foundation. Okay, next is Tooele Valley Academy of Dance. I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Stephanie Wanless, President of the Board of Directors.
President of the Board of Directors, okay. All right, so Twilla Valley Academy of Dance invites dancers ages 4 to 18 to participate in the dance studio. All dancers are given a performing role in studio productions. They will be using their grant funds to help pay for a hand-painted stage backdrop to be used in their spring production, Enchanted Maiden. And if you have never been to one of these events, you have to go to see the wonderful talent that we have in our community. So we're grateful to give them their scholarship. All right. Tooele Bitten Spur Riding and Rodeo Association. Come on up, Cindy. Oh, come on up, all of you. All of you. I'm going to let you also introduce yourselves, even though I know who you are.
Okay, I'm Cindy Elton. I've been a member of the Bitten Spur for quite a few years. And then I have with me Dottie Johnson, who is a Bitten Spur member, active member.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the Bitten Spur. They take care of, and I don't think I've got the number here, it's over 70 kids during the summer, for the most part, is when they are serving these kids, teaching them all about the horses and all the things that they can do, keeping them safe. And during the winter months, these Bitten Spur Kids activities, the events are held at their clubhouse down at the Bitten Spur grounds. And what they're planning on using their funds for this time is to build a long overhang that will cover the west entrance and the south entrance of their clubhouse, which is not currently covered, because we're going to get a lot of snow again this winter, just letting you know. During the inclement weather, the snow and the ice accumulates at these entrances, and it creates a dangerous condition for them. So we're going to help them get their building safe. And they're going to keep providing all of this wonderful service that they give to the kids with the Bitten Spur Rodeo. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Salt Lake, Tooele Club. Who is here tonight from the Boys and Girls Club? I'll tell you, I'm so thrilled for them. The Boys and Girls Club has been in this community for over 20 years, serving our students and our young kids. And they have always used one and even two of the city buildings for 20 years. They needed their own clubhouse. They truly did, for the safety of the kids and a way for them to expand their services. So they have recently purchased and remodeled a building here just off of Main Street. And if you have not had an opportunity to go through that building, you need to go see how wonderful that is. But the Boys and Girls Club, are you going to use their grant funds to serve the youth of Tooele City in their youth development programs? They did recently move into this new facility to take on the current and the projected growth of youth in the Tooele Club. The grant funding support services include sports, computer labs, homework help, field trips, arts, snacks, behavioral support services, individual and group counseling, STEM lessons, transportation from Tooele schools to the Tooele Club after school, and much more. And when I say much more, it is. The individuals that work at the Boys and Girls Club are such dedicated people who really, truly care about the kids that they serve. Any child in the county, they can pick them up at school and take them there. Anyone can go to the Boys and Girls Club. So we'll make sure that we get them their money. The next is the Tooele Valley Theater. Tooele Valley Theater. Tell them what you do.
Yeah, so I am a founder and board member of the Tooele Valley Theater. I do a lot of things, whatever's needed.
Tell them your name.
Emily Henwood.
Okay, Emily's here tonight. So the Tooele Valley Theater, they will be using their funding to go towards their 2024 youth production. Youth ages 8 through 18 are welcome. Their summer camps and classes do not require an audition. If you want to be a part of this group, they will take you and help you, and you'll have a wonderful time. Another place for kids. Tooele Junior High Parent Teacher Student Association. Are you here tonight? Autumn, there she is.
I'm Autumn V. Hill, and I am, I'm president-elect of our Tooele Junior High, PTSA.
All right, let me tell you what they do. You all know, junior high can be a challenging time for students. The PTSA aims to help them feel included in their school and give them a place to bring ideas of activities and projects that they feel will benefit all students. During the last few months of the 2022-23 school year, PTSA was able to provide fun activities and competitions. A student-led project was to make over the Student Wellness Center to be a more welcoming place. Their biggest accomplishment was the end-of-the-year carnival and showcase. The carnival is a time that all students can participate in recreational activities with their friends and families for an evening. There is no cost to attend this event, and the showcase is an opportunity for students to show off their many talents. The funds from this grant will be used to expand the carnival and showcase. And we all know that it is so important to make sure that every child feels like they are a part of a group, and that's what they do.
Thank you.
Tooele Youth Baseball. Baseball. They didn't make it. I tell you, they're all out practicing this, with this beautiful weather. I know it's getting dark, but we have lights at the fields. So the Tooele Youth Baseball will use their grant funds for education and training, new equipment and training aids, and also fee waivers for participants. Over 500 Tooele City youth ages 3 to 18 participate in the Tooele Youth Baseball Recreation Leagues. Okay, the next one is Tooele Scout Unit 314. I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Cameron McRae, American Legion Post 17, Scout Chair.
Awesome. Cameron, thanks so much for being here. We all know how important scouting programs are for the youth in our community. And Tooele Scout Unit 314 plan to use their grant funding to provide 50% scholarships toward youth registration in the Scouts BSA. Again, a way to help make sure that all of the youth that want to be a part of this group can be. And it's been challenging, I'm sure, in the last couple of years to make sure that we find enough people who will give of their time, because it takes tons of time.
Oh, yeah.
To do this program. So thank you very much, and we're honored to be able to give you a chance. Okay, the last one is Tooele Valley Composite Mountain Bike Team. Now, last year, they were all here in their uniforms and their outfits, whatever they were. They probably don't like the word outfits, but they were awesome. We filled this whole area with this mountain bike team, and we understand that this project or this program has just grown. The Tooele Valley Composite Mountain Bike Team continues to grow. Their team supports riders across the Tooele Valley from the 7th to the 12th grade. Their mission is to build strong minds, bodies, character, and communities through cycling, and they believe that getting kids involved in cycling provides them a healthy habitat that they can use for the rest of their lives. Since the team has grown, so have their needs for equipment, which is what they plan to purchase with their grant funding. So let's give them a round of applause for that last one. I also want to let you know that we also give 3 leadership scholarships through our local high school and through the Education Foundation. To 3 seniors, $500 each of these scholarships each year. We also use the funds from this program to support over 100 junior golfers at our junior golf program at our Ochre Hills Golf Course. And what they teach those kids up at the golf course is not just how to hit the ball. It isn't. They teach them etiquette, respect, how really to treat other people. It's a full program, and we had almost 50, it was just over 50 volunteers this year, and most of those were really high school students that went up to help these kids. So we're very proud of our golf program at the Ochre Hills Golf Course. Okay, now I'm going to let you know the businesses who make this happen, because this is not taxpayer money we're giving out. These are businesses that understand the importance of giving back to our community. And so as I call the name of your business, if you are here tonight, please come up here, and I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to tell us who you are and what business that you're with. So I'm going to start with our title sponsor, which was Chartway Credit Union. We also had our breakfast sponsor, provided an awesome breakfast, was Denny's of Tooele. Ace Disposal was our lunch sponsor. The lunch was the most awesome lunch. We also had 2 prize sponsors, Golden West and the Hills Pro Shop. Our drink and our snack cart sponsor, which everyone just really loved this year, was sponsored by Plastic Ingenuity. So those were our main sponsors. These others sponsored in other ways, giving just either a cash donation, or they entered a team, or they were a whole sponsor, all kinds of ways. But at the end of the day, they were all sponsors that gave us money. We have Alpha Construction and Electric, Arco Design Build, BNI, the TNT chapter, Broken Arrow, Energy Solutions, come on up, Ensign Engineering, Geofortis, GTM Builders, Insurance Network, Jones and DeMille Engineering Incorporated, Lewis Young, Robertson, and Birmingham, who happened to take first place at the tournament, Mountain Ridge Mechanical, Mountain States Asphalt, Natsu Healthcare, Peterson Industrial Depot, Rocky Mountain Power, Savage, Tooele County, Tooele Valley Pumping, Walmart Transportation, Wasatch Electric, and Zimmerman Wells. We have thousands of businesses in our community, and these people stepped up and made sure that they give back. So I'm going to let each of you again take a moment to tell us who you are and tell us about your awesome company.
Good evening. My name's Brant Holbrook. I am the market director for the Northern Utah market for Chartway Credit Union. We're thrilled to be here. We've been participating in this great program for many years. So envious of Mayor Wynn and the leadership that she provides the community. I know she does so much to initiate this, and I just feel like I'm a Tooele. I want to be a Tooele resident adoptee, because it really truthfully gives me pressure to put on my community where I live. I'm just so amazed about all the good things that are going on out here. So kudos to you guys. We're in it for the long term. We really appreciate the partnership with the residents here and for our business. And I'm pleased to announce my boss, Mindy Estock, that's here from Virginia Beach on a visit today. She's our Senior Vice President of the Member Experience. But we're just thrilled to be here and be a part of this. So thank you very much.
Hi, Dawn, Ace Disposal. My sister lives here in Tooele. She wants me to come and move out here also, but I have a great spot in West Jordan. But I've known the mayor, I've been talking trash for 23 years. I've known the mayor this long, and this tournament is very important for us to support the kids. And what I tell everybody is, I love that she just doesn't give it to one group. She spreads the love to all of you guys, all of the kids out here. So it's really, really nice. So thank you so much for Ace Disposal.
I'm Chris Sloan with Energy Solutions. We've been a sponsor of this tournament for longer than I can remember. Has nothing to do with Energy Solutions, has to do with kids in this community and the amazing things this tournament provides. It started out just learning about golf, but as the mayor said, it goes so far beyond learning the etiquette of golf. These are great lessons that are just making our community better. Thanks.
Hi, Jennifer Matthews with Savage. We're just happy to be able to support the community and the city. Thank you.
Kind of move this way? Okay. All
We're
right.
making this meeting really long.
I'm gonna stand right. I don't want to.
Blue and blues and trash.
Okay. Okay. You up? Me with each one? Okay. Don't go away. Start right here. How's that? Thank you. Yes.
Okay, one here. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Shiloh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is what a great community we have.
Thank you, Mayor Nguyen, and thank you to everyone in the community who gives back, the businesses, and there is a lot for our youth to do in the community, so thank you, everyone. We'll move on to our next item, which is the public comment period. This is the time for the public to come and address the council. We ask that you state your name into the microphone. You keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and then you sign the paper over by Michelle. The time is now the public's.
Hi, my name is Zell McAllister. I'm speaking to you on behalf of the Tooele City Animal Shelter. The shelter is a vital haven for our city's abandoned, abused, and stray animals. Our shelter plays a crucial excuse me, I have not spoken in some time. A crucial role in rescuing and rehabilitating these innocent beings and offering them a chance at a better life. First off, I want to thank you for putting in the AC unit. I'm so grateful we don't have to put coats on dogs this winter. It's going to be, we're ecstatic. Thank you. I have been involved with animal rescue since 2015 and heavily involved in our city shelter as a volunteer since early 2022. The animal welfare world has been deeply affected these last 3 years. People are breeding and abandoning animals at a rapid rate, and nationwide animal rescuers and shelter staff are suffering from compassion fatigue, burnout, and persistent steady heartache. I have seen suicides and lives shattered. From this crisis, it sounds heavy-handed, but this is the reality of animal welfare right now. We are feeling hopeless and frustrated. Your city staff and shelters are no exception. We have 24 dog kennels at our shelter. This is to accommodate all the dogs, adoptable dogs, dogs on stray hold, and bite cases. Our shelter was built in the early 2000s, making it over 2 decades old. The population of the Tooele City in 2001 was 24,627, according to Google. The current population of Tooele City is around 39,572. That's on its way to being double. And yet with that growth, the staffing and the number of kennels have not changed at the shelter. As such, our shelter is currently facing a severe shortage of resources. The demand for our services have surged in recent months, straining our budgets, hearts, and resources to breaking point. Without more changes, we fear that we may have to continue to turn away animals in desperate need, leaving them to suffer on the streets or in dangerous conditions. We fear our manager's heart will give out when she is forced to make the decision to euthanize, or I have to hold one more healthy dog while it dies because we ran out of space, and no rescues had space, and no members of the public came to meet the dog. While I understand that a new shelter is not financially viable right now, there are a few things we must look into doing to continue to be a sustainable service to the residents of Tooele City. First, our hours. The shelter currently closes at 2:30 on weekdays and from 10 to 2 on Saturdays because we don't have the staff to remain open longer. This makes it difficult for people who work full-time to reclaim strays and adopt. We can go multiple days with no interested parties coming in to look at our dogs and cats. Washington City Shelter, whose city has a slightly smaller population, has 2 full staff, 1 part-time and 30-plus volunteers. They intake around 400 dogs a year and are open till 4 Monday through Saturday. We intake between 500 and 700 dogs a year. This leads me to my next support that needs to be in place to sustain the service that this shelter provides. The only way we are currently allowed to share our available animals is Facebook. The user platform of Facebook is fading. Our animals are not being seen by adopters. If we could have the green light from city officials to look for a grant, to create a website, use other social media, or upload our animals to Pet Finder, which is a database for homeless pets, our animals could reach a wider group of potential adopters. Our animals are not being seen by the wider public, and our hours work against us. Best Friends could be a great resource if we could have that green light to expand visibility. We have a volunteer force at the shelter. We have a group of wonderful, dedicated volunteers, many of which are standing behind me right now. But we lose volunteers due to a few things. There could be 2 staff at the shelter, 30-plus animals. That's a wide variety of behaviors, needs, and paperwork, and as you can imagine, it's a lot of poop. It's a reality. I would love volunteers to be able to come in and simply help us keep the dogs' and cats' morality up as they search for a home, walking dogs, socializing feral cats, but instead we are relying on the help of volunteers to help the staff in animal care and cleaning. 2 staff cannot simply do it alone. It's also devastating for a volunteer to watch an animal that they have made a connection with deteriorate emotionally after weeks in a cage while we desperately search for adopters or rescue, sometimes succeeding and sometimes failing. It's an emotionally draining place, and so we lose them. So to sum up, we need help. We cannot continue in this current trajectory to provide the service to the residents of this fast-growing city. We believe that a community's greatness is measured by how it cares for its most vulnerable members, including our furry friends. By coming together, we can ensure that no animal is left behind and every life is given the chance that it deserves. We ask that an increase of full-time staff be considered. We ask for the green light to share our animals on more platforms than Facebook. With an increase of paid staff, volunteers can turn attention to adoption events, socializing, and keeping the mental health of our animals high, and of course, light poop duty. We can make the small shelter work for us, but not in the current way that it's going. Our hearts can't take it. And we're failing to perform the service that we're in place to do for the residents of Tooele City and their furry family members. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Oh yeah, just sign the paper, please.
You got it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy Mata. I live in Salt Lake City, and I am a volunteer with Best Friends Animal Society. Specifically, I drive rescue transports. So frequently, I am at the Tooele City Shelter 7:30 a.m. on a Wednesday to pick up cats and dogs to take them to a vet in Murray, and sometimes bring them back. So my perspective of your shelter is from a Best Friends volunteer. And Tooele has gone the extra step and become a network partner of Best Friends, taking advantage of support that Best Friends has to offer, but it cannot offer more personnel, more boots on the ground. So I encourage the council to heed the call for more personnel and to help post on Pet Finder. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Corey Stagnordf. I am a local business owner. I own Modified Piercings here in Tooele. My family owns Tattoos on Vine. I'm here on behalf of the Tooele City Animal Shelter myself to show you guys the perspective of what the people on the ground, the people that you guys are representing, are actually seeing. The people are seeing posts daily of these shelter individuals pleading for help, pleading the 411 pages that are highly, highly audited. They are pleading for people on their personal pages looking for somebody to help them. I go down there once a week and I take photos of these dogs. I go down there and I try to bring promotions and I also bring donations to them, and it's still not enough. How can I feel like I'm doing anything when I can't even see the city doing anything to greenlight any form of funding to help promote and help push this even or a little bit better. Because right now, all I'm seeing as a citizen of Tooele, as a small business owner, somebody who literally looks up to every one of you people, every one of you, all we see is no one giving them help. We really do. Like, we see 85-inch televisions in the Ochre Hills golf course, but we don't see kitty litter. Like, come on. It's that easy. It's kitty litter. Like, that's what us, the real people, the people of Tooele, are actually seeing. So if you guys can greenlight something, that's how you're going to show and you're going to provide some faith to people like me that you guys are going to be able to do this, and people like me don't feel like we have to step up and do it ourselves. So please help them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to make a comment? Seeing no one come forward, I will close the public comment period. And we will move on to item 5, which is a public hearing and motion on ordinance 2023-37, an ordinance of Tooele City adopting the downtown element of the Tooele City General Plan. This is presented by Jared Stewart, the Economic Development Director.
Good evening, Council. As you can tell, I have a visitor with me, right, to present this. This is Jake Young. He's helped with the plan. He's with a firm called City Design, and has helped write this plan for us today. And I want to just start with a little introduction. You know, I know it's not the first time you've seen this plan, but for the public in this presentation, we want to give an introduction to what this is and what it means for us. It feels like a big day to me because we've been working on this for so long, and we're excited to talk about the downtown, and we want to take this plan and look at what's in it and take it to the next step to be able to improve our downtown. Downtowns are really a center for community. They're historically the center of commerce and economic activity, and a gathering place. And over time, that kind of has shifted, right? And we want to do what we can to bring more activity and vitality back to our downtown. Part of this, really, we began about a year ago, and we started with focus groups. We started, and we also did a survey, and our survey had 613 responses to it, and giving input on what people wanted to see in the downtown, and that truly did help guide the development of this plan, and we're happy that we got such good input. We did a public open house. We had for 2 weeks here posters out in the rotunda here, and I think many people were able to see those as they came for meetings. And that was an opportunity to get input in person, right? And we also had a survey that went along with that, and we got more responses on some of the meat of the plan as we got into it. So. That's kind of our introduction and our process, and I want to let Jake go over what some of our goals of the plan are, and thank you, Jake, for being here tonight.
Thank you, Jared. You don't have to go away.
I'll sit right here.
Okay. In case they have questions. So I'm going to give a little, go over some highlights of the plan. I do want to mention one thing on the last activity. My daughter races mountain bikes with the high school team, not with Tooele, but with a different team in the same region. So I saw the Tooele Valley team at 4 races, and it was a lot of fun. They have passion, and it was really, really good riders, and it was fun seeing them compete. And I'm a huge fan of high school mountain biking. It's very positive. So I just had to throw that in because it was really fun seeing how good the Tooele team is. So this is the downtown plan, and it'll be part of your general plan, which is great because the general plan is the big picture plan for the city.
looking 10 to 20 years down the road. We did this intentionally so this becomes a chapter of the plan, so it doesn't get lost in this obscure plan that's out on its own in planning world. And so bringing that in with housing, transportation, and land use, and the other items in the plan. So anytime anybody pulls up the city's comprehensive or general plan, they're going to see the downtown plan. So that's one thing I really like about this. I want to read to you the vision for the downtown as presented. Tooele's historic center and downtown will redevelop into a vibrant center and become the heart of the community. Main Street and adjacent areas will be recognized as local and regional destinations. Downtown will be reimagined as a significant place for business, living, entertainment, and gathering. And so that's the proposed vision in terms of taking what we have and then creating a more vibrant center. And downtowns across Utah are becoming more and more economic centers. They have been historically, but they're rebounding and they're coming stronger. So some of the main goals are, the goal number one is Main Street, and that's looking at both the street, the right-of-way, and the streetscape. That includes working with UDOT to lower the speed limit, improve the appearance, the walkability, the crosswalks, really enhancing that street. Just today I was out before the meeting walking Main Street and I saw 3 pedestrians in about 30 minutes. I'm hoping that in a couple of years that'll be 30 or 300 pedestrians that we see in the evening out eating and walking around. And so I think there's room for improvement there. I really like the bison. I think that looks really good in terms of art. So that's goal number one, Main Street, streetscape and street improvements. And there's also action items with these under each chapter, under each goal item. Number 2 is visual appearance. This includes the building facades, the architecture, and then also the landscaping. So building to building, looking at all of that. And the suggestions also include water-wise landscaping, flowers, which you already do, but really improving that aesthetic. When downtowns look beautiful, people come and they stay. And they spend money, and then it goes back into the community. This goal also has recommendation for improving design standards for buildings, signs, signage, those items. Goal number 3 is gathering places. Really, really important for Tooele. You have a lot of wonderful events in the summertime especially, and so improving those gathering areas, particularly looking at Vine Street, and also creating new gathering places. You have the Veterans Park, but also creating more. And there's 2 types of gathering places. There's the small, informal, the sidewalk, the little plaza, just around the building, those little ones, and then also the bigger places for the events. And this goal recommends that Tooele work on both the smaller ones and the bigger ones. You have a number of alleys. Those can be painted with murals, benches. A lot of cities are really working on their alleys. The nice thing about the alley, because they're around the corner, they're a little bit more quiet, great places for eating, dining, hanging out, good events, and so you have a number of alleys that can be improved on that. Number 4, land use. And land use is really looking at the zoning, the future land uses. The recommendations are for land use is to look at how the zoning can be more friendly to mixed use, downtown living. Studies show that the people who work downtown spend 1.5 times more dollars downtown than somebody, people that live downtown spend 1.5 times more downtown than just people coming in. So the more residents that we can get downtown, they're going to spend dollars here at restaurants and retail and stores, and that'll really improve the downtown. So the land use is looking at housing, businesses, getting mixed use and residential downtown. And I think there's quite a bit of opportunity for housing improvements in downtown. That's number 4. And one of the priorities on that is looking at ordinances for downtown. So that was goal number 4. Goal number 5 is parking and connectivity. As part of this, we heard a lot of comments on parking. Residents would like to see more lighting, more signage, What we saw is Tooele actually has enough parking downtown. I know not everybody believes it, but you actually do. But how you can improve that is striping, just striping some of the parking lots, adding signage so people know where to find parking. Also working with businesses to get agreements to share parking. That way when somebody drives downtown, they can park once and walk around and get around downtown. There's also a suggestion in there for the city consider doing what's called a parking authority. Other cities are starting to look at this. Heber City's doing it, other cities. And that's where you look at parking more as a utility, that it's a shared utility. Instead of it being, hey, you own X business and only our customers can park here and you're dividing this up. It's saying this is a shared resource. Drive to downtown, you can park almost anywhere and walk. And so that's where a parking authority and looking at it as a shared utility, just like water and gas and roads and all of that. And then also with parking, our recommendations just for signage, just so people know where to go, where to find the parking. I found it to be easy whenever I came downtown, but I know a lot of times because you have the buildings on the street, which is nice, you don't see that parking in front just like you do a typical Walmart and drugstore and things like that. Okay, the last goal is destination for activities and entertainment. One thing we heard as part of this, and the mayor talked about it again, saying there's a lot of activities for teenagers, they just need to get outside. And what we heard as part of this process is, what if we could have more activities downtown for teenagers? More businesses that are geared towards teenage activities, thinking that would help. I know you have a number of organizations as mentioned today. But also as part of activities and entertainment is downtown activities. And Roger Brooks, who is here, recommends that you have 250 activities a year. And of course you have the big ones, the car shows, the parades, all the festivals, those are fantastic. But then also you could have the little activities, music, bands, juggling, chalk art. I mean, there's all kinds of small things that'll bring people downtown, and that's where you have personnel, get Jared an assistant or second one or third one, whatever he needs, and somebody that can plan small activities to bring people downtown. But what Roger is saying is that when you have activities more than 250 days a year, people just think, hey, let's go downtown, find something to do. It's going to be happening, especially on a weekend. And then also get something to eat and spend some money. So that is a summary. Includes 6 goals with strategies on how to achieve the 6 goals. And then also there's recommendations for priorities and action items for the next 5 years. And so the idea is that this can be a plan that can be worked on. And any questions for me or Jared before you open your public hearing?
Do we know how many events we had downtown last year or this year? Because the goal's 250. I'm just curious what.
That's a good question. I don't know if we do have Tyson with our Downtown Alliance here, and one of the things Tyson's tried to spearhead is every second Saturday there's an event downtown, right? And that's a big initiative of the Downtown Alliance. And we had several. And we've done pretty good at that, Tyson. I don't know if we've made it every second Saturday, but we've done, at least 4 of those to have some events downtown. And a lot of other smaller events that I'm not counting in those too. There are other smaller events organized by the businesses as well, but I don't know that we've quantified. Not 250. We're not there yet.
Downtown Trick or Treat is coming, and also the tree lighting for our small business day and our Santa Parade. That's all going to be downtown.
A couple of the other big ones was the Downtown Fest in June and the Fiesta that was in September, kind of to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month. So those were a couple of our big ones. I know we also had an Easter event, and I'm sure there's others that I'm not thinking of right now too.
4th of July
Maybe
parade.
looking at some of the smaller informal ones. And really you think about it as the hardware is the buildings, the sidewalks, the landscaping, and the software is the activities, and you put those together and you have a good package to make a great downtown.
And a lot of people drive through Tooele, you know, whether they're heading to the Great Basin or the West, you know, desert, or just trucking, or all kinds of things going on.
Any other questions, comments?
Of course, we want the trucks going around town. I know that.
Yeah, don't get us started on traffic.
It's in there.
It's
actually.
good traffic, though, if we have people coming to our downtown, so, and stopping, right? We want them to stop and enjoy our downtown, so. Thank you. A lot of great ideas in that plan. Okay, any questions, comments before we open up the public? Okay. This is also a public hearing, so the time is now the public's. We ask that you state your name into the mic, keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and then sign your name on the paper over here.
I might be able to address some of those. I'm Tyson Hamilton, chairman of the Tooele Downtown Alliance. We're excited. We're moving. I've got a calendar of events. You're welcome to come see it. But right now I've got about 30 events scheduled for next year. We still have to talk about that as our board, but I got a lot more coming too. We've got a lot of diverse events and things coming to our downtown. We want to have events and times and things for everybody, kids, adults, it doesn't matter. So that's our goal. That's our mission. And this Downtown Alliance has actually become a community. It's an area for people to enjoy, love. The business owners, the building owners, everybody involved has just become a great community to work with and be a part of. So I highly encourage passing this because this helps us keep the ball rolling. And there's a lot more coming you'll be seeing. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stephanie Bothell. I would just love you to adopt this plan. As excited as we all get about the chain restaurants and retail that are hopefully coming to the north end of town, our downtown is what keeps us different and special and from being just another suburb of Salt Lake City. And to be part of this, the open house and seeing some of the ideas that have been thrown about, it's just, I think it'll be so vibrant and make our town just so much better and different from just another suburb.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else come forward, I will close the public hearing and turn the time back to the council. Any other discussion?
I just want to comment, I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this plan. I think this is what helps us become a better city 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, is having that insight. And so I appreciate all the hard work and effort, and I'm excited to adopt this plan.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that
Your mic, turn your mic on.
Then it's too loud.
They want to hear you, Dave, so.
No, they don't. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve ordinance. Make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-37, an ordinance of Tooele City adopting the downtown element to the Tooele City General Plan.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilman Hanson, a second from Councilman Graff. We'll take
It's
it to.
McCall, though.
What's that? Oh,
You said
McCall,
have-
sorry, I said Hanson.
Yeah, you did.
Let
You'll
me
start
Right
over.
there, Councilman McCall, and then we had a second from Councilman Graff. Thanks, Ed. Keep me on my toes.
It's just a little bit of difference. That's just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay, we'll take it to a vote. Councilwoman Manzio.
Aye.
Councilman Graff.
Aye.
Councilman Hanson.
Aye.
Councilman McCall.
Aye.
And Councilman Brady, I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Item 6 is a public hearing and motion on ordinance 2023-42, an ordinance of Tooele City to amend Tooele City Code 7-14, Table 5, regarding lot sizes within the infill area overlay zone. Amendments proposed by Robert Yalbert? I don't know. I'm sorry if I pronounced that name wrong. Presented by Andrew Agard, the Community Development Director.
Thank you, Chairman Brady, members of the City Council. You're familiar with this request as we presented it. I presented it to you at your work session 2 weeks ago. This application to amend the Tooele City ordinance has been submitted by Mr. Robert Jalbert.
Okay.
And I think that's how you pronounce the name, is that correct? Jalbert, okay. It's a French name, so. He's requesting an ordinance amendment for Tooele City Code 7-14, Table 5, which is the infill area overlay. And specifically would like to add a new category to the table of development standards for lot size. and adding a new row that states may reduce to 80% of the underlying zoning district. So why is he requesting this text amendment? So Mr. Jalbert owns the property highlighted in blue on the map. It's located in geographic area B of the infill area overlay. And he currently owns a property on the southeast corner of 400 South and Coleman Street that is 0.28 acres. And you'll note that on the property there is an existing legally non-conforming duplex structure located up to the far west corner of the property, leaving the eastern half relatively unusable because there's already a structure on the property. So what he would like to do is he would like to be able to subdivide the property and put a new residential structure on the eastern half of the property. The problem is he is slightly short of the lot size minimum requirement. The property is zoned R17 and the R17 zone requires 7,000 square feet. So if he were to subdivide as he currently has, the property would be, or the new lots would be 6,098 square feet. So he is about 1,800 square feet shy of the necessary 14,000 square feet to subdivide. So when I spoke with Robert at the beginning, we looked at different options to try and make a subdivision feasible on this property. One of them was to consider amending the R17 zone. That probably was not a very likely scenario, as the R17 zone is the city's most prevalent residential zone. The other one was to possibly consider a variance of some sort. We determined that a variance for lot size is impossible to be granted, doesn't meet the criteria. We also talked about accessory dwelling units, but he's not interested in ADU, he wants to construct a new home. And then we looked at the infill area overlay. We thought, well, we have a unique opportunity here. We can look at amending the language of the infill area overlay and not touch the R17 zone. So if he were to subdivide, if an ordinance amendment of this type were to pass, he would be able to split the lot into two 2.14 acre lots. And as you can see on this aerial map, that's not a lot size that would be uncommon for this area. This is a subdivision that was recorded and built in 1971, and many of the lots, almost all of the lots, are smaller than the 16,000 square foot requirement of the R17 zone, but the ones highlighted in red are 0.14 acres. So the request is in line with what's in the area. However, this request, if it were to be approved, would affect every property located within the infill area zones, geographic area A and geographic area B. So what exactly is he asking for? This is the table showing the proposed amendment. It basically just says may reduce to 80% of the underlying zoning district. So that would take a 7,000 square foot lot down to 5,600 square feet. This amendment would not affect lot width. They would still have to meet the 60-foot lot width requirement, which would still provide ample room for setbacks and separations between the adjacent homes, but it may affect the depth of the home. So the backyard would probably be the minimum 20-foot backyard with the reductions provided by the infill. But lot width would be the same, frontage requirements would be the same, and so forth. How can this benefit Tooele City? This could provide greater flexibility for lots that don't have sufficient acres to subdivide in the infill area. So you might have properties that are slightly larger, but too small to subdivide. Now they could qualify for subdivision. This would provide additional, slightly smaller lots to be serviced by existing infrastructure and can serve to reduce the cost of housing. If a home doesn't have to build a street, put in sewer lines and so forth, cost could go down. And then, of course, this would encourage more development within the infill area overlay, which we are trying to do. We want those properties in the infill to develop. Could there be detrimental effects to Tooele City with this ordinance amendment? One of the only ones that I could identify would be a slight increase in density. As we talked about at the work session, if you drop a lot size down to 5,600 square feet and you develop 1 acre, you're looking at probably 6 units per acre instead of 5. So there would be a slight increase in density. And of course, with more units, there's more there's more use to the existing infrastructure. Is that a significant detriment? I don't know, but that is a possibility. So the Planning Commission did have hold a public hearing for this on October 11th, and they did forward a positive recommendation with an additional recommendation that this ordinance amendment be approved, but it be approved with a condition limiting it to just minor subdivisions. So any subdivision that comes through, or any property that comes through requesting 6 lots or less, this would apply to. Anything in addition to that would not qualify for the 80% reduction. So that's what Mr. Jalbert is asking for. He is here if you have any questions for him. I'm also happy to answer any questions you might have as well.
Any questions or comments from the council?
Just a brief comment. We hear this all the time, which is how do we improve housing in Tooele? And this is one way we can approve tonight and increase the option, not only of in this particular instance with this particular landowner, but also for all the infill areas in Tooele City that are vacant. And it accomplishes 2 things. It can be a house that's going to be a little bit more affordable just because of the various size of the lot size. And B, it takes care of one of the things that we absolutely don't like, which is vacant lots getting overgrown, becoming fire hazards, just becoming a blight. So I really like this. I think it's something we can actually do to address affordable and obtainable housing.
My biggest concern, as I discussed in the last meeting we had, was these larger lots. So I appreciate the Planning Commission's request that it's for minor subdivisions. I would be much more in favor of it if it was the 6 lots or less. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. I think that's a good addition.
It kind of sounded like they had maybe listened to the work meeting because they, mentioned water and the things we had talked about, and thought that was a good compromise.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, this is
Chairman,
Roger.
Very brief comment. If you're inclined to approve it and add that condition of a minor subdivision, I'll just point out that currently our code, a minor subdivision has 10 or fewer lots. We're preparing a recommendation for you to consider a change to 6 or fewer. So if you condition it on it being available, this being available to minor subdivisions, you may want to clarify that it's minor subdivisions of 6 lots or less.
So a minor subdivision.
Very minor subdivision.
Okay, thank you. All right, this also has a public hearing, so we invite the public to address the council. We ask that you state your name into the mic, keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and sign the paper over here. Time is now the public's. Seeing no one come forward, I will close the public hearing and bring the time back to the council and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve motion on ordinance 2023-42, an ordinance of Tooele City to amend Tooele City Code 7-14, Table 5 regarding lot sizes within the infill areas of overlay zone amendments, and also add to the condition that it be applied to minor subdivisions of 6 units or less.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Graff, a second from Councilman McCall. I got it right this time. Okay. We'll take it to a vote. Councilman McCall?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman Graff?
Aye.
Councilwoman Manzione?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Item 7 is a preliminary subdivision plan request for 1 O'Clock Hill by S.J. Company to subdivide approximately 178 acres located at approximately SR 36 Main Street and Settlement Canyon Road in the R1-7 Residential Zoning District, presented by Andrew Agard, the Community Development Director.
Thank you, Chairman Brady, members of the council. This is a preliminary subdivision that's been a long time in the making. I'm pleased to be able to present it to you today and get your approval for it. It does apply to the very long and strangely shaped parcel highlighted in red on the aerial photograph. I should point out that the parcel itself is 178 acres. However, The only portion of the property that is developable is about 38 acres. So that's what you see highlighted in red. You'll also note that on the southwest side, there's a rectangular piece of property that kind of cuts into it. That is not a participant in this subdivision. But it basically runs from 1220 South to Settlement Canyon Road along the entire eastern side of SR 36. The property is currently zoned R17, and you'll notice there's quite a few zoning districts around or adjacent to the property. The RR1, the MU160 properties located to the southeast are basically 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock mountains. They are undevelopable ground, and so the zonings that they have are kind of insignificant, but that property there is undevelopable. And then on the northeast side, we have some general commercial, some MR12, and some R17 zoning. The application proposes to subdivide this property into 134 single-family residential lots. Each lot within the subdivision has been reviewed according to the standards of the R17 zone for lot size, lot width, and lot frontages. You'll note that there are some new accesses proposed. The accesses to the subdivision will line up with 1220 South, with the 900 South intersection, and also with pretty close to the access to the Tooele City Roads facilities. SR 36 is a UDOT road, and so those accesses are necessary to receive UDOT approval. This subdivision, when they did the rezone, they provided numerous studies because this is an area that is fairly sensitive. It was located in the sensitive area overlay, but the city council at the time, when they rezoned it, removed it from the sensitive area overlay. However, the conditions of the site still existed. So they provided a geotechnical study, a fault rupture study, a rockfall hazard study, and those were included in the report with recommendations. But each one of the recommendations or in those studies indicated that the property could be developed if they follow the recommendations of those individual studies. There are also considerable Rocky Mountain Power distribution lines that run across the property. This map shows the location currently of those lines. The applicant has been working closely with Rocky Mountain Power to relocate those lines, and we have seen plans of taking that middle line and moving it and combining it with the distribution line closer to the mountain, and also moving the line closer to SR 36, close to or into the public right-of-way at that roadside. They have not received final approval yet from Rocky Mountain Power, but it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. Rocky Mountain Power won't approve it until the city approves the subdivision preliminary plan, and the city was requesting approval from Rocky Mountain Power and before we could approve it. So we're moving this forward. They have done their due diligence with Rocky Mountain Power, and we do believe they will approve the relocation of those lines. When the city council rezoned this application or this property to R17, they were presented at that time with a trail system that extended from Settlement Canyon Road to 1220 South. And we have worked with the applicant to make sure that this preliminary subdivision plan complies with that trail requirement. This graphic shows the trail that's being proposed. You have a 10-foot gravel trail extending from Settlement Canyon Road to about the midpoint of the subdivision, where it then changes to a 10-foot asphalt trail, which is part of the public right-of-way in lieu of a park strip and a sidewalk, which is beneficial because now we don't have to worry about taking care of a park strip. And then it converts to a 10-foot gravel trail, 2-track gravel maintenance road that Rocky Mountain Power currently uses to access their facilities there. And the applicant has stated they are willing to improve that and make it more trail-like. And then the trail terminates into the southern portion where it will connect with the public right-of-way between two lots. So that's the trail they're proposing for this development. And then there were at least 10 conditions that Tooele City staff requested the application, the preliminary subdivision plan, be approved with. And in order for us to fulfill these conditions, we will review them during the final site plan or the final subdivision plat of each phase. I don't want to read them because they're really long, but they're in your information. So we are recommending approval of the preliminary subdivision plan with these conditions. There are 10 of them, along with the basic housekeeping conditions that we always attach to every subdivision application. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
And Andrew, those are located in your staff report, correct?
They are, yes.
The only question I have is if they're going to move the power lines, are those power line poles going to be on the trail pathway, or is it going to be outside of it? That's my one concern. Like, if you take a giant pole and you put it on a 10-foot trail, you don't have a 10-foot wide trail anymore. You have a 1-inch trail.
That's an excellent question. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where those poles are going to be located. My understanding is that they're going to use the existing poles, so they're not going to be putting new poles there. They'll be moving the line onto the existing poles that are there.
Okay.
So there won't be any relocation of poles in the trail area.
Okay.
That I can tell you.
I appreciate that information.
And there's a fence along SR 36, correct?
Yes, there will be a 6-foot solid masonry precast concrete wall installed on those lots. There'll be no sidewalk. UDOT doesn't want any of those improvements there.
Is there a reason it's a gravel trail over an asphalt trail the entire way, or a different type of trail? Is that just?
That'd be a good question for the applicant. It may have something to do with grading and maintenance. They could probably address that better than I can.
Okay. Any other questions for Andrew? The applicant's here, right? Mm-hmm. Would you like to make any comments?
Just an answer for the asphalt. With all the studies we did to remove the property from the sensitive overlay, everything said don't touch the hillside. And so to not touch the hillside, if we did asphalt, you have certain grading that you have to follow, and there's just no way we could do it. And so that's why we're proposing the gravel trail, is to not hinder the hillside any further.
Thank you. Any other questions?
It'll be a good gravel trail though, right? Kind of like was down going to Desert Peak before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the preliminary subdivision plan request for 1 O'Clock Hill by SJ Company to subdivide approximately 178 acres located at approximately SR 36 and Settlement Canyon Road in the R17 residential zoning district based upon the presentation we've had tonight, with the conditions that are listed.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Manzio and a second from Councilman Hanson. We'll take it to a vote. Councilwoman Manzio?
Aye.
Councilman Graff?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman McCall?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Item 8 is Resolution 2023-90, a resolution of the Twila City Council consenting to Mayor Wynn's appointments of Eric Niven, Crystal Larmar, and Julie Broff to the Library Board of Directors, presented by Chase Randall, Library Director. Please let me know if I said those names wrong.
I'll get to them in just a second. Thank you so much, Council. This is my first time in front of you since my appointment just over 3 months ago. And before we get to the appointments of Eric Niven, Crystal Larmore, and Julie Brough, I just want to go over a couple statistics for you of how the library is doing and some things that I've done in just the last 3 months. Since July 1st, 2023, the library has averaged 521 visits a day. So that's people coming into the library and utilizing our services. That's totaling across the last from July 1st through October 1st, is 39,625 total visits. Basically, that's the entire population of Twila coming in every 3 months. We currently have 12,900 persons with active library cards, and we did just complete a cleanup. So if that number feels lower than previous years, it's because we did a kind of a purge of the records for the last 3 years. We have 697 non-resident cards, so people outside of Twila City that are coming in and paying for the library card. Additionally, something that made The other departments in the city a little jealous is this last time when we posted a couple job openings, we had 137 applicants for those 2 jobs. So I spent a solid week just reviewing resumes. One of the other big things that I've been able to do as the library director in the last 3 months is changed up some processes and cleaned up a couple things that will now result in well over $10,000 worth of annual savings for the library, which I know is, especially with budget conscious and inflation, is very important. Now on to the reason that I'm here tonight. I'm here for the 3 new board members that are appointed to brand new 3-year terms. I was able to interview 4 applicants with me and Councilman Graff, who did the interviews, and these are the 3 that we've selected. We want and need board members who are engaged and care about the library. We currently have 5 vacancies on the library board, and these 3 will bring that down to only 2 vacancies. I hope to get those other 2 filled in the spring during the normal course of the library board. If they're here, if they could stand, I'll go through each one in turn. So the first is Eric Niven, right there. He is a published author. He's currently retired and is super enthusiastic about especially encouraging reading with the library. He's previously served on a nonprofit board dedicated to helping locate and preserve Navajo artifacts in southern Utah. He dedicates several hours a week, if not more, to his volunteer work in his church. And additionally, when we were all sandbagging in the spring because we didn't know what was going to happen with the flooding issues, his house and his park strip basically turned into the place where the ward put all the sandbags for those that needed it. So he's very involved in the community. Next is Crystal Larmore. I don't know if she's here tonight. She has 4 kids who all use the library regularly. All 3 of these people heavily use the library. She loves the library and wants to give back to the community and has lived in Tooele for many, many years and has been raising her kids here. She has experience as the treasurer for the local PTA, and she dedicates also a lot of time and service in her church. And last but certainly not least is Julie Bruff, who I would commend for the patience of having her kids learn about the gears of local government turning. She loves the library and helps contribute to the community as a writing tutor at Utah State University Tooele campus. She has a strong passion for the library and the services it can provide and helps the community. She also has many hours of community service through her church and has volunteered at an emergency family living center. So I present them to you for your confirmation. Thank you.
All right, any questions or comments?
Thank you for serving.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution 2023-90, a resolution of the Tooele City Council consenting to Mayor Wynn's appointment of Eric Niven, Crystal Larmore, and Julie Bro, I apologize for your name, mispronouncing, to the Library Board of Directors.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Graff and a second from Councilwoman Manziel. We'll take it to a vote. Councilman McCall? Aye. Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman Graff?
Aye.
Councilwoman Manziel?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0.
Chairman, I just want to also express my thanks to Eric and Julie. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for your service to our community. Library is very important in this community, and we do appreciate your service. And if I also may mention that Brennan is here from Golden West. He traveled far to get here tonight. He is one of our sponsors of the Mayor's Tournament, and we just want to express our appreciation to him for the support that they give to us. So thank you, Brennan.
Thank you. Item 9 is Resolution 2023-91, a resolution of the Tooele City Council amending the Tooele City fee schedule to add a bulk culinary water fee for limited commercial construction, presented by Jamie Grandpree, the Public Works Director.
Good evening, Council. So Resolution 2023-91, this is a resolution to amend the fee schedule to add bulk culinary water fees for limited commercial construction. The administration is requesting that we allow commercial construction contractors to access our culinary water system from the fire hydrants for commercial construction needs. This use will be regulated by written administrative policy, which will be signed by the mayor. The requested fees for this policy is $1,500 for the fire hydrant meter deposit, $75 daily meter rental, and $6 per 1,000 gallons for water. We kind of discussed it earlier in the work session and bring this to you now for adoption.
Any questions since the work meeting? I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we approve 2023-91, a resolution of the Tooele City Council amending the Tooele City fee schedule to add a bulk culinary water fee for limited commercial construction.
Second.
A motion from Councilman Hanson and a second from Councilman McCall. We'll take it to a vote. Councilwoman Manzione?
Aye.
Councilman Graff?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman McCall?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Item 10 is Resolution 2023-89, a resolution of the Tooele City Council approving a contract with Black & McDonald for work on city-owned streetlights, presented by Jamie Grand Prix.
So this resolution, 2023-89, is for Black & McDonald contract. Just a little bit of a back history on this. The original contract was implemented in 2016. Prior to this time, we had no contracted service for maintenance of our street lights. At that time, there were several street lights within the city that were out, and so they put a contract into place to get lights put back going again. And so the contract was then renewed in 2020 for an additional 3 years. That would have been for 2020, 2021, and 2022. That contract had then kind of ceased at that time, and we've just been under applied contract since then. So with over 1,300 city-owned streetlights, we'd like to get back onto a contract with Black & McDonald, which would basically, their kind of scope of services is they do a sweep of the town once a month. So they go out in the evenings when it's dark. They go out and check all of the streetlights throughout town in that 30-month period. They keep note of any of our streetlights that are out and put that on their schedule to fix. They do a good job of keeping track of the ones that Rocky Mountain own and putting requests in for Rocky Mountain Power to fix theirs. However, we don't have the control when those lights get repaired. In our contract with Black & McDonald, it's requested that they repair our street lights, at least the basic maintenance, every 2 days, within 2 days. And those that don't fall under the basic maintenance, within 10 days. Now, basic maintenance is just easy stuff: bulbs, photocells, ballasts, starting aids. If we have conduit, or in the past we've had the electrical wire ripped out, those will take longer to get fixed. And so if a pole gets knocked down, destroyed by an accident or whatnot, we do have a clause in there where they come out immediately to a down pole, make sure it leaks safe. That way, there's no issues with kids playing with it, getting shocked. Keeping it safe until a new pole gets put in place. With the contract, one of the issues that it kind of helps fix, especially nowadays, is supply chain issues. Black & McDonald does keep parts, keeps our city-owned street lights and whatnot that we have, keeps that brand in stock, keeps more of that brand in stock if we have a contract. They do have parts right now, but they keep a limited stock just because they don't know if we're going to have a contract to keep them busy. So with the contract, they will keep more parts and lights in stock. A couple other things I just want to add really quick. We would like to see residents self-report when a street light is having issues or a light is out, even though Black & McDonald goes through the town in a 30-day period. They could go out tonight. They could mark lights that are working, or at least see lights that are working, and then tomorrow night the light could go out. And so if residents self-report, it kind of helps get that into the system, and Black & McDonald can get on them so that they're not out for a whole month before they get tagged by Black & McDonald. Some of the ways to do that, they can log on to tooelacity.gov, which we have a reporting tool that is on our website. Residents can go to that street light that's on the reporting tool, mark it, and put in the trouble ticket for that street light. They can also call the Public Works office in Shiloh, and the mayor's office also takes calls when streetlights are not functioning. So with that, just kind of a basic rundown of that contract. It is about $5,000. It's about $5,000 a month just for the basic maintenance of the contract, and then just repairs as we go through the year. So it's approximately about a $200,000 contract, give or take.
Okay. I've received my fair share of emails about lights out in Tooele, and I always give that to the mayor in Shiloh and you, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't know there was 1,300 streetlights, but.
Yeah, 1,300.
Interesting. Okay, any other questions or comments?
How many more are owned by Rocky Mountain Power?
I'm not sure how many Rocky Mountain Power have. It's basically like just Main Street, just the state routes, that's more Rocky Mountain Power. And then we manage more of just the interior portion of the city, all the residential lights.
And this includes the North Tooele district,
Yes.
right? Even though there's
Yeah.
a district.
Yeah, their lights are still counted as part of that 1,300 that's in that district.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm just really amazed that, you did a really good job.
You might have to turn your mic on again, Dave.
I thought it was on, no, there it is.
There you go.
Yeah, you did a really good job, explaining all this, but it just blew me away that you kept the monetary amount until the very, very end, and then you looked at me.
Yeah. I'm learning, Dave. I'm learning to wait until the end to give the dollar figure and then just to kind of look at you and see what the reaction's going to be.
Hey, that's still cheaper than what you normally throw out, I tell you. But if no one else, Mr. Chairman, make a motion that we.
Roger had a comment real fast.
Just very quickly, I thought it might be a good reminder that we have a special streetlight utility fee that all the residents and businesses of Tooele contribute to, and that's an enterprise fund. So it does not take funds away from our general operating budget to do this contract.
Thank you.
Yeah, the $2 a month on the utility accounts is what goes into that enterprise fund, and this contract is then funded from that fund.
Great, thank you. Okay, Dave, you were going to say
All right,
something
Mr. Chair,
else.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2023-89, Resolution of Tooele City Council approving a contract with Black & McDonald for work on city-owned streetlights.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Councilman McCall and a second from Councilman Hanson. We'll take it to a vote. Councilman McCall?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman Graff?
Aye.
Councilwoman Manzione?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jamie.
I'm just glad he wasn't last on the agenda this time.
He usually is. Item 11 is ordinance 2023-41, an ordinance of Tooele City amending Tooele City Code Section 10-3-30 regarding the removal of illegally parked cars, presented by Adrian Day, the police chief.
This ordinance is a simple amendment for this code. It's defining what danger or an obstruction is, and that's all vehicles in violation of Chapter 3. And it gives the police the authority to remove that vehicle only after reasonable attempts to get the owner to do it themselves, the exception being a emergency hazard. So we discussed this in the work meeting, and I can answer any questions.
Okay, any questions since the work meeting? I support it. Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve ordinance 2023-41, an ordinance amending Tooele City Code Section 10-3-30 regarding the removal of illegally parked cars.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Manzione and a second from Councilman McCall. We'll take it to a vote. Councilwoman Manzione?
Aye.
Councilman Graff?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman McCall?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Item 12 is a resolution 2023-87, a resolution of the Tooele City Council authorizing payment of fee in lieu of water rights conveyance for the Peterson Industrial Depot's development of Central States Manufacturing, presented by Jared Stewart, the Economic Development Director.
All right, hello again, Council. As we talked about earlier, Central States Manufacturing has purchased 10 acres from the Peterson Industrial Depot. So, and as part of that, the Peterson and their group, they are going to be acting as the developer for Central States and performing much of the construction for that project. So this was a request from the Peterson Industrial Depot to purchase or to allow them to pay the water fee in lieu for the water needed for this development. So to kind of review this, it is a request for 2.65 acre feet of water. Includes the construction of a 125,000 square foot manufacturing building on 10 acres of property that's currently undeveloped within the RDA project area. And total taxable value we're estimating will be 5.6 million plus maybe other value with equipment and other material they'll have inside as taxable personal property too. Approximately 150 new jobs. I said 100 earlier, I think, so 150 is the correct number. At a company that is an ESOP, an employee stock option program company. I can't tell you how different it is hearing the reaction from the public as they see that this company is coming to town. I've had 5 or 6 people reach out to me since their announcement and say, hey, I'd like to work for them, which hasn't happened with many other companies, right? So I think that speaks a little bit to the quality of company this is, and just thought I'd throw that in as well. So,
thank you. I'm excited for more jobs close to home for our residents. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve resolution 2023-87, resolution of Tooele City authorizing payment and fee in lieu of water rights conveyance for the Peterson Industrial Depot, development of Central States Manufacturing.
I'll second it.
Motion from Councilman McCall, a second from Councilman Hanson. We'll take it to a vote. Councilman McCall?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman Graff?
Aye.
Councilwoman Manzione?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Item 13 is Resolution 2023-88, a resolution of the Tooele City Council authorizing payment of fee in lieu of water rights conveyance for the Peterson Industrial Depot's development of an indoor pickleball facility, The Kitchen, presented by Jared Stewart, the Economic Development Director.
you could tell that myself and the mayor don't play pickleball because the other day we had to ask, why are they calling it the kitchen?
And a little area in the front.
Yep. So we learned pretty quickly why they're calling it the kitchen, right? I played pickleball once or twice, and I kept missing it because it felt like it was a tennis racket, but it's not quite as long. So I need this development to happen so I can hone in on my pickleball skills, I guess. So. Lots of development happening at Peterson Industrial Depot, and this is a project that will bring not just jobs, but a recreational opportunity for the community. It's a request for 1.7 acre feet of water. It will include the construction of 6 pickleball courts, so you could have up to 24 people all recreating at any one time. They plan to be open 7 days a week. Construction of it would be about 30,000 square feet, and we estimate 3.9 million in new taxable value. So, and a lot of the employment opportunities here are, part-time or, it's a recreational facility, so different than obviously a manufacturing facility, but still jobs and a particularly great benefit to Tooele residents who can come and recreate here all year round, right? I think that's important that they can, regardless of weather, it can be open and an option for recreation for the community.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve Resolution 2023-88, authorizing payment of a fee in lieu of water rights conveyance for the Peterson Industrial Depot's development of an indoor pickleball facility.
I'll second.
Motion from Councilwoman Manzio and a second from Councilman Hanson. We'll take it to a vote. Councilwoman Manzio.
Aye.
Councilman Graff.
Aye.
Councilman Hanson.
Aye.
Councilman McCall.
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you, Council.
Item 14 is invoices and purchase orders presented by Michelle Pitt, the City Recorder.
Thank you. I just have one tonight. It is to Motorola Solutions. And this is for handheld radios, vehicle radios, and base stations for the fire department. $31,157.29.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the invoices as presented tonight.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion from Councilman Graff, a second from Councilman Hanson. We'll take it to a vote. Councilman McCall.
Aye.
Councilman Hanson.
Aye.
Councilman Graff.
Aye.
Councilwoman Manzione.
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Item 15 is our minutes. I don't remember what meeting that was. October 4th?
Yeah.
It was our work and city business meetings. Any changes? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Councilman McCall, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman Graff?
You're
Aye.
sitting right there.
Councilwoman Manzio?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. And we are adjourned at 8:40 PM.
I assume you're a second.
It's rough without Holly here. I'll come back for that one. I'm gonna.
Okay, all right. You bet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, how about right here? Is that good? Like this? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll definitely be talking about
Michelle?
I mean, you guys were very good.
Michelle? Michelle?
That's an all right survey.
That's what I heard.